Hey, this is Benjamin Nelson, your Season 7 WSSR Cup champion. I'd like to give a thanks to Roasted Gems Coffee, Trophy Smack, all the admins at WSSR, Snowy Desert Racing, everybody that tunes in to the Freaky Fast broadcast every week, including my family and friends, co-workers as well. And I am so honored to be able to hoist this beautiful trophy. I've never been more proud to be a champion.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night as the drivers of the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series get prepared for race number 11, the second to last race of the regular season before we have 16 drivers race for the playoffs. Should be a good one here tonight. The drivers know it's so important, and we cannot wait to see who is going to have a better performance, who's going to be put in a tough spot next week, as tonight it's going to be the Larry Art Productions 200 at Nashville Super Speedway. The drivers are ready for all the amazing action here tonight. Again, on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Hopefully you're ready for the amazing show. We have almost 30 drivers prepared to hit the track at this 1.33 mile course that runs similar to a mile and a half, but also has some pretty unique traits to it as it's under the concrete. It should be a fun one. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up in the booth, it's going to be Justin Malarkey. And Justin, after 2 weeks of being off, the drivers, I think they're ready to get back to racing, especially after last race they just had at Auto Club that came down to a horrific crash at turn number 4 that we found Brian P. Johnson getting into victory lane with.
Yes, Brian gets the win. Everyone else not getting the win, so they had 2 weeks to get down, give a chance to get tempers cool down, and gonna get back at it tonight though. 14 days later, going back to that 1.33 mile track, Nashville, like you mentioned. It's gonna be great. Concrete surface, gonna be something a little different here. Gonna see some nice racing, I think, though. Hopefully these cars are able to put on a good show. I think the trouble spot's gonna be coming out of turn 4 tonight. Cars are gonna be maybe sliding up. Hopefully they're not getting into the walls, but we'll be watching it live. We'll be seeing everything. We'll be bringing all the good calls right to you live tonight.
As the drivers here at Nashville Super Speedway are excited for this race, as we head down to trackside, qualifying is already underway as drivers are preparing to put down their first laps here tonight. Again, qualifying going to be 5 minutes in total that the drivers are given to put down their fastest lap. But though a little bit of a thing that always gets these drivers, they only have 2 laps to put down their fastest time. Let's take a look at the one machine. Brandon Colley trying to figure out how to get on top of the board, find some more consistency for the one after a heartbreaking start to the season. Auto Club really wasn't the race for the one machine, was caught up in a lot of wrecks, and was hoping to not be a magnet anymore. I'd say, Justin, is the goal for the one, starting off lap number 1 in 4th, and now that'll be finishing his 2nd lap to see where Brandon Colley can place himself on the board.
Yeah, I definitely had some trouble last week, or 2 weeks ago at Auto Club, but the thing he did have was a lot of speed. He was battling for the lead when trouble struck. Hopefully tonight, able to get that car situated, keep it away from anyone, and maybe he'll be able to lead the race and not have any worries, get himself those points, get back up there in the hunt for the playoffs, because the playoffs are approaching very soon.
They certainly are. Just 2 weeks away, we'll find ourselves at the start of the playoffs. Next week will be the last regular season race at Atlanta Super Speedway. But tonight at Nashville Super Speedway, to see these drivers who can top the board. Currently, it's last season's champion, Benjamin Nelson, at the top of the board with a 29.784 second lap time. Isaiah Sutherland going to be 2nd. And oh, there's the troublesome spot you just talked about, Justin. Exit of 4, Shane Tarian breaking loose.
Yeah, you just think you think you can gas it up and get going, and all of a sudden it just seems like that track is so narrow. You're coming out of a turn, it's such a long turn, you think you're done with the turn, and then before you know it, it's got that little kink in it. And I think that might be a trouble spot tonight with these cars with that horsepower and the lack of grip. That might be somewhere where we're going to be talking a lot about it. Hopefully not. Hopefully the race will just settle down, but who knows? We're going to have to stay tuned because it's going to be really exciting if we do have a lot of cautions with that issue coming out of turn 4.
Finding a caution might be the tough thing to find. Last time these drivers raced at this course was back in season 6. No cautions were thrown that race for 150 laps. Here tonight, running 150 as well. Anthony Gaudio coming off of a solid finish our last race. One of the drivers that's just outside of the bubble line, hoping for a chance to make the playoffs. And currently, Anthony Gaudio has been one of the faster drivers the last couple of races during the practice session, has been qualifying and during race trip. The 29 trying to find that consistency. And right now, Gaudio's first lap going to be best for 24th, hoping for a big jump after this first lap.
Yeah, he's definitely going to want to try and nail down that qualifying. Like you mentioned, if this race does go caution-free, starting in the back is not going to be ideal if you do not get any cautions, have a chance to catch up. But as you mentioned, Gaudio showed a lot of speed last week, got through the accidents at the end, had that nice finish. We got to talk to him on the broadcast at the end. He's definitely excited for the rest of these races, trying to get himself in the playoffs and see what he can do at the end. We know he can have the speed. It's just got to be able to survive any of the issues that happen on track.
As these drivers continue to try to put down their times, Gaudio is going to be good enough for 15th. Cameron Sarton, lap number 1 for the 99. Going to have just enough time to put down his second lap, as currently it's Ryan Kelly down the board. 29.773 is the lap time that the 99 is going to hope to topple, as we're seeing 25th on the board currently after that first lap. And Cameron Sarton, driver who's also had some misfortunes since he's been running this season, for a big swing, get back into a top 15, top 5, top 10 motion. We know this 99 has speed, as we've seen in other leagues, and here tonight, hoping that there's enough speed to get them moving forward. And not a bad qualifying run, 15th for the 99 machine, as qualifying will come to a close. Ryan Kelly in the 3 machine will find himself being the fastest driver after qualifying session is over, practice is over, qualifying is over, and the drivers will now head into a 5-minute warm-up period to just get those jitters out, maybe learn some small little details that they can on this concrete course. But Nashville Superspeedway certainly going to be a lot of, who could find that pickup speed if they didn't qualify well, who's going to try to stay up front. But the numbers are going to be the big thing to watch out for, because, like I said, second to last race of the regular season. You got tonight, you got next week. Justin, that's it. As we take a look at the points standings, it is very close on the drivers. We got 2 very different storylines. We've got a 4-way battle for who's going to win the regular season, as we got actually a tie for that top spot between Brian P. Johnson, Larry Yangling, then just behind them being the 3 machine of Ryan Kelly in third, just being 1 point back from our tie for the lead, and then Brian McCann going to be 3 points back from our top of the board. Those 4 drivers very close. Zach Hall going to be 21 points back, but then we make the swing up to the cutoff line, and Justin, it's just as close as it is battling for the championship of the regular season.
Yeah, that cutoff is going to be really close, and we can't forget that there is one driver below the cutoff that does have the win. If he's able to get into the top 30 in the points, that could change everything up too. So 16th could not be safe if Bryson Hixenbaugh is able to get into the top of the standings there. That could change everything right there with him.
Yeah, Bryson Hixenbaugh, the way that he can be eligible with his win that he grabbed in the middle of the season, is if he moves inside of the top 25 in points. Currently 25th in points is Joshua Corner, and Bryson Hixenbaugh finds himself 31st in points. It's a 41-point difference. So for Bryson Hixenbaugh, the storyline's pretty set and simple. Get a win this week, next week, maximize your points, and hope for some help from those other drivers that are in between where he runs now in that top 25 spot in points.
Yeah, that's going to be really important for him. Something, like you said, maximizing points. He's going to have to go all out. Trying to make up 41 points is just going to be really hard. But he'll have a good idea tonight where he's at for next week. If he's only 5 or 10 points out going in, he's going to maybe have to potentially play it cautious so he's not involved in any accidents next week at Atlanta. Maybe try and save it to the end. But it's something we'll have to stay tuned. But we're getting ready. Warm-ups are almost over. We're going to be finding out what's going to be happening tonight with these drivers. We got a big top 10 here, separated under 1/10 1/10 of a second. That just means that I think it's going to be a really close night tonight, probably hard to pass. Maybe these drivers will get spread out on the longer runs if it stays green. But with that being only 1/10 apart from the top 10, we might have ourselves a battle here tonight.
It certainly can be a battle through 10 races so far. This season's been a good one. 8 different winners. The only 2 drivers with multiple wins is Brian P. Johnson, our winner at Auto Club, the last race that we just had, and that of Benjamin Nelson, who's got 2 wins that he found in the middle of the season. But we have tonight at Nashville Superspeedway, Atlanta Superspeedway next week. Before we go into the playoffs, where the drivers are anticipating it to be a dogfight to see who can grab the Season 8 championship. But so far this schedule, Justin, it's been a fun one to see the various of different winners. I think that's the one thing that these drivers can kind of take on their shoulders is we've had 8 different winners. Tonight, we could be seeing another driver getting a multiple win because with how fast Bryson Hicksonbaugh's been looking, but there's some other drivers that also are searching for a win. I think you got to watch out for John Forbes and also look out for Edward Schroer Jr., who almost found himself getting the victory last race, and also Kyle Heath, who are involved with that major wreck coming out of turn 4 at Auto Club.
Yeah, there is a lot of drivers up there that could potentially get that next win for this league and keep that list of winners growing. It's such a competitive league. You mentioned John Forbes. That was someone I had circled. I'm glad you brought him up. Got a chance to race with him the last couple nights over on the Monday Night League, and he was showing all the speed he has there. We know he has the speed. He's been close. Tonight could be his night, starting inside the top 5. Gonna have to put it together for 150 laps here, though. That's the key. We got a long race. We got pit stops maybe every 50 laps if it stays green. Tire wear, fuel strategy. We're gonna have all that tonight really soon. We're getting close to this race going.
We certainly are almost ready for race time as these drivers get themselves prepared. Tonight's race, it is the Larry Art Productions 200. If you want to learn more from Larry Art Productions, well, Larry Art's Production is a comedy variety YouTube channel with great range of different fun videos to watch, from stop motion videos to reviews and more. Go check out Larry Art Productions on YouTube and on Instagram. So much fun. It's hilarious. It's great. And also one of the major sponsors of Monday night for the ISRC Truck Series. Go check it out on Monday nights, as we cannot wait for it. But warm-ups is done. The drivers are about to be set and ready for action here tonight. Certainly should be a good one. 150 laps, no comp caution. And they know that this race has the potential of going clean and green all the way through. Or will we see some of the calamity that we're starting to feel could happen at the start of these races? Cold tires could be a threat, but first, let's take a look at where the drivers will be starting off here this evening for the Larry Art Productions 200 at Nashville Super Speedway. As your usual qualifying grid sponsor, it's Collie's Mom. Thank you so much to Brandon Colley's Mom for sponsoring the qualifying grid for the last couple of seasons. We always appreciate how much you support Wednesday night here for the WSSR. And the pole award going to be given to Ryan Kelly, grabbing his first pole of the season. Congratulations to the 3 Machine, having last season's champion of Benjamin Nelson in 2nd place. Larry Yingling going to be in 3rd, with Bryson Hicksonbaugh in 4th. Big driver to watch out for. Also 5th place runner of John Forbes, another driver to watch out for, trying to get the win this evening. Isaiah Sutherland, another quick driver that's outside looking in the points of being around that cutoff line. Going to be in 6th. 7th is Douglas Newbigging. Chris Stitz going to be in 8th. 9th, we find Zach Hall. Finishing out the top 10, it's going to be Nick Crawford.
Rolling off 11th, going to be Brian Noel. Alongside him, going to be Brian McCann. Got the battles of the Bryans on that row. Ken Campbell, 13th. Shane Therian, 14th. Rolling off 15th, Cameron Sarton. And P16, Brian Johnson, last week's winner. 17th, Anthony Gaudio. And 18th, Johnny Brugg. Rolling off 19th, Ed Shearer Jr. And 20th, going to be Brandon Colley. Again, shout out to his mom for doing a nice sponsoring.
Thank you so much for the sponsor. Kyle Heath trying to recover from his last race. Going to be starting in 21st position. Christopher Norris, a very deep qualifying run in 22nd. Ollie Fonseca not where he wants to start, back in 23rd. Cody Reed qualifies 24th. Will be starting at the end of the line for the 52 Machine. Cedric Hunter, who's been having a rough the last 3 races, in 25th. 26th is James Kaufman. Danny Cochran in 27th. Ben Keeney in 28th. And finishing out our 29 drivers will be James Heater. The drivers are set. They're ready. and they're already finding themselves in 3 and 4. This is going to be a quick start for the field. The WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series Race 11 for Season 8 about to be underway. It's been a great season so far. The penultimate race before the playoffs is about to begin for the Lariat Productions 200 into the restart zone. Ryan Kelly, Brian P. Going to be seeing Benjamin Nelson up front, trying their best to roar down into turn number 1, and Ryan Kelly already ahead and going up top.
Ryan Kelly looking to get that early lead, trying to settle in, but this field behind him, there's still, you can see 2, maybe even 3 wide back in the field. This track does have a little bit of lane, so something we'll be able to watch throughout this night as these drivers are able to get a little side-by-side action going on early for us down into turn 3.
Second place going to be a key factor. How to get moving forward. Larry Yingling, the last driver to win at this track. And already trouble. Going to be having drivers spinning out off the exit of turn 4. It's Ken Campbell into the grass. And he's going to be parked in the grass for now. Everyone else will keep their nose straight. It's also Brian Noel going to be finding himself driving through the grass. And all those drivers, a big checkup of Nick Crawford into the 8 machine. Brian McCann collecting into Noel. But the big spinners, the 15 and the 77, they'll get reset moving forward. Brandon Colley starting pit road. One machine's got a lot of work. It almost got the caution that was needed to get back caught up with the field.
Yeah, almost got that caution. That's the big thing, staying green. Those drivers that had some of that action, they got to make sure to stay on the lead lap here. They don't want to risk going a lap down early, get the cars going back out on track so they can fix it if we do get that caution. But right now, things did settle down a little bit up front, but in the middle, we talked about it, turn 4. That was a trouble spot coming out. A little bit colder tires and cars just getting a little loose and banging into each other, and luckily not too much damage, but again, they do want to get caught up if there's another caution, so they can't risk losing any more time.
Still trying to get heat put into this racetrack, but I also want to take a look at the weather. We can bring that up because these drivers here tonight are going to be dealing with a little bit of a hotter temperature. It's 88 degrees overcast, but 88 degrees is a lot of heat out there in the air, but on the track, 98 degrees. A little bit of wind that they're dealing with as well. But I gotta say, Justin, it's that track temp, 98 degrees. That's a pretty hot temperature that these drivers are dealing with on the concrete.
Yeah, 98 degrees on that hot temperature on that track. Just gonna heat those tires up, shred them. Gonna probably bring handling in really quick. I mean, I think everyone's gonna feel confident for the first 10 laps, maybe 12. But once you start hitting lap 15, 20, this track's got a lot of turns on it. That front straightaway, you're still kind of turning. There's really not much rest for these tires. Heavy braking. These cars have so much power going down the straightaways. So you're constantly throwing heat into the tires. You're cycling them, you're heating them up. It's something that we're going to be watching throughout this race. Right now, everyone's down on this low line, but I think drivers will be up in that second lane eventually as these tires do begin to wear out.
As the field all single filed out for now. It's a group of 3 pulling away. That's Ryan Kelly, Larry Yingling, and Bryson Hicksonbaugh that are in their own sit code. Then you've got this second pack that we've been keeping our camera on, being led by Benjamin Nelson, John Forbes, and now seeing action in the middle of the pack. That's going to be Brian McCann trying to make the move on the 7 of Douglas Newbigging. Zach Hall hoping to hook the nose as well, and seeing Shane Terrian in the 9 machine trying to move forward to catch up to his teammates of Brian P. Johnson and Zach Hall from the Carolina Reapers. That trio were so dominant in the beginning of the season. Had a couple of fallout moments as the Poulter team as a whole is trying to find more consistency, but I'll say the strongest driver of that trio, Brian P. Johnson, who rips to the top trying to get by Zach Hall.
Yeah, he just made that move. Nice that has Zach Hall down on his inside. I'm sure you can trust him, no problems there. The 28 showing us maybe that second lane's coming in rather quicker than we thought, potentially. Seeing a couple other drivers getting up in that second lane, but most of them are still down on the bottom. I think it's early in this race. Probably don't want to venture up there yet. Maybe let the track rubber in. We got that dynamic iRacing update from a couple weeks ago, dealing with the rubber coming off the tires and heating up the tracks in different spots. But right now, Brian Johnson's making it move as he might actually get this another spot here from Douglas Newbigging going into turn 3.
I think that's the biggest surprise for me, seeing this outside lane working a lot better than I was expecting. Usually, in a lot of the other vehicles that we cover here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, especially talking about the trucks, it's a slower horsepower vehicle, dirty air is very important. And usually this race turns into a 1-lane course. You get down that yellow line through the corners, and that's practically where you have to stick and hope for a mistake for the driver ahead of you. Right now with Brian P. Johnson, we're seeing you can make moves if you like. The outside lane is viable at this moment, but how much is this going to be backfiring on the 28 later on? We're only on lap 9, but we'll see where the 28 is still moving forward within about 7 laps or so, or will he continue to fall back as Again, drivers, more than this race progresses forward, the exit of the corners don't get any easier, especially after the exit of 4.
Yeah, that's a great observation. With it being 50 laps that they're going to run on fuel, we're thinking maybe 52, 53. We're only lap 10, so we're 1/5 of the way through. So right now it's working for him, but will it work for him when we get halfway through that fuel run around lap 25? Is something we'll touch back on around lap 25, 30, and we'll see how he's progressing. Maybe he's got something figured out. Maybe he's not wearing the tires. Maybe he's doing it better up there. That's something that's beautiful about racing, is we have to wait, watch, and we find out. Right now, though, it's working for him. He's moving forward.
It certainly is working for the 28 currently trying to get by Douglas Newbigin. Hasn't worked out just yet. It's kind of stalling out at this moment, but the top 3 start to see a little bit of a spacing out motion between them. Ryan Kelly, Bryson Hixenbaugh starting to pull away from Larry Yangling, and Bryson Hixenbaugh continues to be one of the fastest drivers out there on the track. The 63, again, mission for Bryson, get up front, get every bonus point possible, and then win the race, and hope that he's got enough points to finish inside of the top 25 and make the playoffs and make the win that he grabbed earlier in the season back at Las Vegas, be eligible to put the 63 into the playoffs. As starting to see a little bit more movement. Heat machine to Brian McCann and Isaiah Sutherland now starting to have some great battling back and forth, and John Forbes having a good show in his mirrors at this current time.
Yeah, 1.7 seconds back for John Forbes. We talked about him, one of those drivers maybe tonight gets that win. Has some great speed. He's right there running in front of the second pack. Just a little bit behind the top 3, as you mentioned. But one thing I'm watching at Bryson Hixenbaugh up there, he's got it under 2/10. Got around Larry Yingling. Ryan Kelly early in that race jumped out to that little 2-3/10 lead on lap 1 and 2. But now these drivers kind of got right back to him. So maybe Bryson Hixenbaugh, one of those drivers that has that long run speed, we know he's got to get that win. So it's something that's going to be really interesting to watch.
Starting to see more drivers bouncing to the outside row. Now the 11 of John Forbes utilizing the outside lane, trying to set up a pass on the 8 of Brian McCann, not able to do so. And also seeing the 9 machine of Shane Darian. He's decided to bounce to the outside. And again, we haven't really touched on it a lot in the last couple of weeks. Still always a shocker when I tell people Shane Darian, one of the few drivers that races with the controller and on a track where there's a lot of wear and tear. That's where I think a controller finds its weakness. Always difficult to tire save, but also a great save from Zach Hall there, who got out of control for a second.
Yeah, you saw the hands, you saw the gloves inside the windshield moving, coming out of turn 4, just getting a little loose there. He did a great job saving it, but just that scruffs the tires just that little bit, like you mentioned, and just heats them up. And he's stuck kind of down on the inside too, which is hard getting out of the corner. You got to pinch that tire, turn it a little bit more, and scrubs that little bit more speed off. But you're seeing these drivers starting to fan out a little bit. They're not all stuck down on the bottom. As you see right here on board, how he's fighting that wheel coming out of the corner, sawing on it. This is great action.
Yeah, and Zach Hall, he's sawing at it. Behind him, he had about 3 drivers almost dumped it into the grass. We are 16 laps into this run. And I would say about 2 years ago, Justin, it was a lot more traditional of a lot of the other cars. You get 16, 20 laps into a run, and then the handling just falls off a cliff for a lot of vehicles you run. A little bit more easier now if you think of the next gen, the trucks, not as massive as a drop-off, but we're seeing with the Gen 4 more horsepower, everyone's handling starting to fade away for everyone throughout the field at this point.
Yes, that's a really nice point to bring up to the viewers. These cars have so much horsepower. We talk about it being hard to handle. Coming out of the turns, you kind of shred the tires. You're getting into the gas, and the tires start to spin that little bit, and it just knocks the rubber off them. And with this track being concrete, maybe that's also going to benefit these drivers a little bit. Maybe it won't wear as much as asphalt, but it's still a really hard track. Tire wear is definitely going to matter. I think every 20 laps, you're probably going to see guys wanting to get tires if a caution did come out. They do have 6 sets total, though, so it will be something that we keep an eye on if we do get a string of cautions throughout this race.
6 sets total, 5 in pit road when needed. And like we said, if this race stays green, they are expected to turn this race into a 2-stop. Fuel windows anywhere from 51 to 53 laps, so easily should turn this race into a 2-stop. The only thing that maybe would turn that into a 3-stop here tonight is the tire wear. How bad do you feel like the tires are, and do you feel like you need to come into pit road sooner than later to just protect your vehicle at the end of this race? As seeing a couple of other drivers on the move, a couple of them making some big charges. Danny Cochran in the 2 machine and the Larry Arc Productions number 2. trying to make his way forward up 6 positions currently, and in front of Danny, there's a battle going on between Chris Stitz and Cody Reed. Stitz is continuing to fall backwards, trouble for the 17 machine in 20th position, and Cody Reed in 19th, one of our other bigger movers, up 5 positions, but Stitz down 12, massive loss. The other driver that's down by a lot of positions, Nick Crawford, down by 12 positions. Back in 22nd place. Now we already documented Ken Campbell, Brian Noel's incident of getting into one another in lap 2. They both are down 14 positions for Ken Campbell. 17 positions are down for the 77 truck, that vehicle, that are both trying to move forward and have been caught by Brandon Colley in the one machine.
One driver that you mentioned there, Nick Crawford, is 70. He's got to spin 77, loops it around, coming out of turn 2. Got to try and keep it off the inside wall. He's able to, gets it going. Caution does wave, though. That is going to bunch this field back up.
I don't know, every week, the commentator's curse is something around the 1 or the 77. Someone's being tossed around when I mention their name, and it was Brian Noel that finds himself losing it off the exit of the corner. I understand that there is, the running thing about it, Justin, but this is crazy.
Yeah, the old loop. He looped to come out of the corner, but he did the 360, kept everything going. But it is going to bring out the yellow here, so now it's going to change everything. Before we get to pit stops, though, we're talking about Nick Crawford and the 74. I think on that lap 2 incident, I think he was one of the drivers that got a little bit of contact. I saw him. He didn't loop it, but he was really sideways on the track. I think that's where he lost a lot of his spots, too. So we'll have to see if he's able to get back on here. But we're going to have pit stops soon. I'm expecting the whole field to come in and use one of those sets of tires now.
You are correct about the Nick Crawford incident. He was in the middle of that kind of spill of drivers being tossed into the grass under that lap 2 incident. But we'll see how these drivers now, how are they going to recover from this incident? Do you take a risk, maybe? Again, you got 5 sets of tires in pit road. Does anyone think about maybe taking 2 tires to gain some track position? Or is everyone going to take 4 and hope they've got the momentum as pit stops underway for the first time here tonight for the Layer Up Productions 200 at Nashville Super Speedway? As everyone enters into pit road, Justin, now it's the waiting game. Who takes a risk and who's willing to just stick to the status quo? We ran 23 laps. I don't think expecting too many people to take a risk, but hey, some people might think early on we need to get up front.
Yeah, I appreciate anyone doing that risk. It's early. I personally probably wouldn't, but someone might do it. I don't see anyone coming out yet. Looks like the first one leaving probably going to be the 8 car. Maybe he's going to beat Ryan Kelly out. It's going to be really close to the line. Not sure if he got to it. No, it looks like he actually came out 4th, but yeah, not seeing anyone doing anything too drastic yet. Maybe early in this race, but hey, it could be later on in this race that drivers decide that's how they get track position. We saw how hard it was to pass out there. 23 laps in, didn't see too much passing, so there's got to be a way to make it up. Pit stops could be one of those spots.
Well, here is our race analysis for tonight's race. Again, 150 laps is the total. The drivers going to be running. There will not be a competition yellow, as that has been a rule that came into effect halfway through the season after too many cautions were being thrown. The league admin said, let's remove the competition yellow and just race this one out if possible. With our pit window being 51 to 53 laps, this caution changes a lot on when you decide to come into pit road. And it's the fun drama that kind of gets added in, as all the drivers will be on the lead lap. About drivers from about 21st back to 29th will decide to stay in pit road for a slightly longer pit stop. Get some damage repair. I know some drivers got into the wall, a few got into one another, and it's just nice to get some of this damage repair done early on. Do want to give a shout out though to our sponsors here tonight that have helped out the WSSR throughout the season. Again, Brandon Colley's mom, always thank you for being the qualifying sponsor for the WSSR. And as well, I want to give a huge shout out to our title sponsor, being Roasted Gems Coffee. Roasted Gems Coffee, to your premium coffee to elevate your coffee experience. Remember to head on over to Roasted Gems Coffee today to check out their amazing blends to help you out, from French vanilla, cinnamon bun, and more. Go to roastedgems.com and use the promo code WSSR for 5% off. And Trophy Smack. Go get yourself a championship trophy, show off your glory with a championship belt, ring, trophy, and more, go on over to TrophySmack.com and remember to use the promo code WSSR SMACK for 10% off. Thank you to our amazing sponsors that help out here week in and week out. As the field sees the pace car pull off into pit road, it's time for racing action as the Larry R Productions 200 is back underway. Into the restart zone, Ryan Kelly, Larry Yingling are back on the loud pedal as they roar down into turn number 1.
And just like the first start of the night, Ryan Kelly jumps out to that lead, but this time Larry Yingling's going to try and stay with him, not let him get away and see if he's able to get that clean air, but not going to do it coming out of these corners. He's going to have to deal with the being in the wake of Ryan Kelly as we exit turn 2 and they head down the back straight.
Down on the back straightaway, seeing Bryce Hicksma under a little bit of fire from Ryan McCann, and drivers curious after that first run, how many are willing to defend the outside row, or are you willing to continue running similarly like you did on that first stint? A lot of good information in those first 23 laps at the time of the caution that you can take in. And Ryan Kelly knows one thing, fresh air is king as the 3 stays up front pulling away and everyone else single files out. First side-by-side battle is not going to be until we go all the way outside the top 10, where Edward Sherwood Jr. and Kyle Heath, 2 drivers that got into one another at Auto Club, our last race we had 2 weeks ago. Well, they're side by side, and oh boy, holding on is Sherwood Jr.
It always works out that way. If you have drama the week before, you end up qualifying next to each other or you're battling on track, and that's what we're seeing right here. But the guy behind who doesn't want to see anything is Cedric Hunter. He wants to have a clean race. He wants to get those points, not have to worry about next week. Anthony Gaudio, same thing. Those 2 drivers right behind these 2. But Kyle, he's staying on the inside, trying to get around the 71, but not going to be able to do it yet. Maybe coming out of turn 4. We'll see as they get so close coming out of that corner.
So close to one another and also so close in points. Trying to move forward, Anthony Gaudio at this time. Any way to move forward is this 29 machine. Cedric Hunter, though, I mean, what a season it's been for the 13. It's very consistent early on, but the last 3 races, it's been a complete meltdown. Has finished outside of the top 10 the last 3 races, but the last 2, he's finished 28th and 26th. In both times, it's been qualified in the back, showing a lot of speed, but then caught up in a mess. 13 put himself in a very similar state. Curious if the script's going to stay the same here tonight, but currently, biggest mover, Cedric Hunter, up 10 positions.
Yeah, he wants to keep moving forward. He wants to get another 10 more positions, get all those points he can. We see Anthony Gaudio actually maybe up in that 2nd and a half to 3rd lane going in that corner. You might have missed turn 1. Turn 1's a little bit different. It's got a little bit more braking going into turn 1 than what you expect getting into 3 and 4. 3 and 4 is a little angled differently. 1 and 2's got that sharp entry. Sometimes you're out there and you kind of lose track of where you are because these laps are going by so fast and you just misjudge that turn. But it just gets you up the track and then guys get underneath you, and that's not what you want to see if you're trying to go forward.
Trying to move forward as well as you can. Again, for Rennie Colley, the 1 machine, decided to start on pit road. That caution was so critical to get back into a fighting opportunity to go forward. Also, seeing Ken Campbell trying to get back into the fight as well as Brian Noel. That self-spin helped out dramatically for himself, but drivers up front starting to see a little bit movement inside of our top 5. And it's going to be the 63, Bryson Hicksma on 3rd, trying to set up a pass for 2nd place. And Bryson and Larry Yingling, both drivers that had a little bit of a duel in the first 15 laps of this race before Bryson was able to make the move for 2nd. Wants to make the similar move right now.
Yes, we're seeing that play out just like we did in the first run. Bryson Hicksma made his move about 10 laps into the start of this first run, and the same thing's happened in this run. But the problem was he was never able to get to Ryan Kelly and get around him. We mentioned he needs to most likely get the win, maximize points, lead laps, lead the most laps. He needs to do everything he can for the points to be able to get into that top 25. Right now sitting 31st in points, but he has the win. If he's able to get another win, could really make next week nice and easier for him.
Yeah, and Ryan Kelly, I think he's doing the same thing he did in those first 20 laps of this race. Get up front and just try to stay up front as much as possible if you're in a comfortable place to maybe start to save your tires. While we're seeing Bryson Hicksma, Larry Yingling trying to do similar things. It's the drivers in 4th back to 10th that have kind of flipped a switch, you could say. They're being a little bit more aggressive, especially John Forbes, Isaiah Sutherland, Brian B. Johnson. Those drivers that are willing to fight and want to stay close to the leaders. And I talked about that knowledge you took in those first 23 laps for that caution. Well, the knowledge has been placed, and they know it's go time.
Yeah, speaking of that knowledge, so now it changes everything with the race. We restarted with 125 laps to go, and we know we can go 50, 52 max on fuel. So that would be 100. But these drivers might be thinking, you know what? Not save tires. Maybe go 40, 40, and then you're done with your pit stops. Maybe some of these guys are thinking they saw the wear on the tires when they got into that first round of pit stops at lap 23, and they were okay with their wear. They're thinking, I'm going to push hard and I'm just going to pit early and do the same thing in the second run and try and not utilize 50 laps on these tires and do the undercuts and get the speed advantage.
I think we'll talk about it a little bit more when we get closer to pit stops. Pit entry is not easy here at Nashville Superspeedway, and then when you make your pit stop, you can go a lap or two down very quickly. Like we said, this track only 1.33 miles in length, drives pretty similarly to a 1.5-mile track, but the shorter distance can allow you to be under trouble very quickly, especially with having an off-axis road that you also have to take. There are a lot of factors that could cost you a lot of time if you just decide to be one of those earlier drivers to pit.
Yeah, the off-access road that you mentioned, that could be really troublesome. You're down there on that flat surface, it's asphalt versus being up on the concrete, so it kind of changes a little bit. But would that be something if these drivers do pit early and they don't get the caution, they might gain so much time that it could really pay off for them? But the problem would be, you mentioned, a caution comes out, you might be a lap, 2 laps down, and that could really end your night.
It really could. Seeing other drivers in the middle of the field, you got Kyle Heath again trying to recover after what was looking like one of his best finishes at that of Auto Club 2 weeks ago. Didn't go as planned, got caught up in the wreck of over-aggressive, kind of backfired for the 31. Right now, a lot of putting pressure on Zach Hall, who's decided to back off on his pace. Right now, Zach Hall outside of the top 10. Surprising to see. 32 machine, I think for Zach, might have been spooked with how much wear and tear he put on the tires, deciding to fall back. And also, the driver that's fallen back, Benjamin Nelson, fall into the clutches of seeing Cedric Hunter. So one of our bigger movers falling to the clutch, one of our biggest losers falling to our biggest mover.
Yeah, when we see Benjamin Nelson qualify second and then drop back to 14th, that's something that's a little alarming because we know he's a driver with a ton of speed. And we expect him to run up front. But right now, it's early in the race. Maybe he's just saving, getting on a different strategy. Something, maybe he saw something in the first 20 laps that maybe he feels like he can push his car later in the run and make that time up. Time will tell, though, as we see Cedric Hunter behind him and Ollie Fonseca, who also is right there in that borderline of the points. So he really needs to get a nice night. He needs a top 10 to keep his positions. Doesn't want to fall back any further.
Absolutely not. Have those two cutoff drivers battling 15th and 16th on track, and that's where they are in points coming into tonight. And both these drivers needing a top 15 finish. If not, get at least a top 10 finish. You cannot afford to finish outside of the top 15 if you're Cedric Hunter and Ollie Fonseca. You need every point possible, and for Ollie Fonseca, he's won. He is actually the only driver that's inside of a top 16 that doesn't even have a top 5 so far. This 24 is in a tough position, but hey, we know Ollie's got some speed, and under this machine, after he's found himself in victory lane, talking about a lot of drivers that have ran in other series, found himself in victory lane on Monday night to start off the season. 24 knows that he can find himself in victory lane in other cars, and hoping that tonight we can find some magic and find some speed later on, and more may turn into strategy to help the 24 and others to get up front. Speaking about up front, here's the battle for second place. It is turned into the gauntlet of drivers, but it's still the same two. Bryson Hicksonball, Larry Yingling being the wall. That right now, John Forbes and Brian McCann can't get by.
And John Forbes is right now, like, you two need to figure out where to go because I want to get by both of you and go chase down Ryan Kelly. John Forbes is looking like he wants to get around them and make his moves, but he can't right now. And it's actually going to open up the door for Brian McCann to get underneath them. But while this is all happening, Larry Yingling 1.4 seconds back in second spot. Ryan Kelly's checking out, and now Bryson Hicksonball may be in second spot. These drivers cannot figure out who wants to take it, but it does not matter because Ryan Kelly's like, stay side by side. I'm going to have this a 2-second lead in the next few laps here.
Yeah, if it continues like this, Ryan Kelly is loving the fact that he's able to check out because it allows the 3 to pull away and protect the tires while these other drivers are battling side by side, and it's adding drivers that need to push forward, get back into the mix. Johnny Brugg, who's missed out on some races, has had some technical issues, has been caught up in some messes on the tail end of this lead pack in 10th place, the 20 machine. It could be someone that can try to make a fight as we continue to watch the duel back and forth for second position is what this group of drivers are fighting for currently.
Yeah, I'm watching that 11 car. Looks like he has speed. He came out of the corner and gassed it up and was right on the rear bumper to 63, trying to push him down to get him around to 67. Just wasn't able to do it. The problem is they're just really heating up these tires, trying to turn hard down that inside line. Larry Engling's doing what he needs to do on that outside, though, keeping the cars down and trying to keep it easy on the car while he's not losing his position. But I think these drivers are really wanting to get around him. They want to see what they have, as now Brian McCann's going to get under the 11 again, and Isaiah Sutherland's right behind him. We have quite a battle here going for these next 5, 6, 7 spots.
I mean, I'll put myself under the bus. I was coming into this race thinking this is going to be a snooze fest. The drivers just in line, not able to really pass one another. This is entertainment, Justin. I was not expecting Nashville Super Speedway getting it side by side, 2 rows, almost 3 rows, battling on who's going to get in the second position. Your top 10 now turn into your top 12, all within a second of one another, from that a second back to 12th. But Ryan Kelly still pulling away, now almost 1.5 seconds away from these drivers.
Ryan Kelly right now is probably taking it easy on the car and still pulling away. He's loving what he sees. But Larry Engling now up in that 3rd lane. John Forbes now going to try and get underneath him, see if he's able to make the pass. But this looks like we're at Daytona Talladega. They're
3 wide. Brian McCann forcing the issue. The 8 does not want to wait. Throws it down below Bryson Hicksonbaugh and Brian P. Johnson. And it's the 63 falling backwards. Bryson Hicksonbaugh went for fighting for second, now clawing his way outside of the top 5. He continues to fall backwards, and the tire wear, I think it's starting to show here, Justin, of that early takeoff and not able to advance your way forward. Is now starting to hit the 63, and as well now Larry Engling, and the clutches have fallen back to 5th.
Yeah, you hit it the nail on the head right there. Bryson Hicksonbaugh, exactly what happened. He spent too many times underneath trying to get by Larry Engling, heating those tires up, holding the car down, working out a corner. We talk about how hard it is to pass. Mentally, you think, okay, if I could get it this lap, I'm going to push. And then before you know it, you spend 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 laps underneath that guy, and you just shred the tires. And I think that's what happened to him. And he pretty much dropped like a rock as soon as they got by him. And now Larry Engling, also under pressure. He was also battling Hicksonbaugh. These drivers just heated their cars up, and they still got a lot of time to go before pit stop, so it could be troublesome for them.
Drivers, Isaiah Sutherland was tied for 17th in points outside of our playoff picture, and the 14, a little bit of a drift out of 4, keeps it together. And right now for Isaiah Sutherland, this is another driver that we know has speed, but hasn't found consistency in trying to push forward as quickly as he can.
And we're getting close to lap 50, which is pretty much exactly where we had that first yellow with the driver looping it to 77. The tires are starting to heat up. You saw the 14 coming out of the corner, get a little squirrely. These cars are now probably at max wear, where they're really starting to become a handful. So if we do get a caution, it could be coming here, as these drivers are racing hard, and they're still side by side, racing a lot more aggressive in this second portion of these 25 laps than they did in the first 25.
This pack is continuing to grow as more drivers enter into the fray, and starting to see movement now with Douglas Newbegin battling to get by Larry Engling for 6th. We're also seeing a few other drivers trying to make their way forward, of seeing the 20 that of Johnny Brugg, but just outside the top 10, Zach Hall, and as well Benjamin Nelson. Those 2 drivers that we just talked about, of how much time they gave up, now are one of the fastest drivers out there on track. The 79 is running about 2/10 to almost 3/10 faster than our leader the lap before he caught up to this pack.
There's nothing more fun than when you're 2 or 3 tenths faster than cars and you're able to pass them. But it's not fun when they're 2 by 2 and you can't get around them, because you want to take advantage of the tire wear that you saved and make the moves. But it's so hard when they're 2 by 2 and they just won't go anywhere. So that's one of the problems with Benjamin Nelson dealing with right now. But if he could do it, we know he definitely can. He's a fast driver, but they're all stacked up in front of him. This is going to be challenging.
Fun driving to see all around. One driver, though, did not have the fun. Ben Keeney in the 98 machine, going to be her first DNF of the night. Got into the outside wall about 5 laps ago. Just too much damage. Didn't feel comfortable out there on track. Going to call it a night. We hate to see that for Ben, who came off of his highest finish at Auto Club 2 weeks ago. We'll see Ben next week. Next week going to be, I mean, you're loving the side-by-side racing here at a track that's not traditional to be side-by-side. We're going to see a lot of it next week at Atlanta Super Speedway, as they continue to see riding on board with Douglas Newbegin looking back at Johnny Brugg, Larry Engling, and a slight slide by the 71 of Edward Shermer Jr.
Yeah, but right now the person that's not having any slides is Ryan Kelly. He just continues to build a lead, even with John Forbes getting single file, not able to run him down. It's 1.8 seconds. There's nothing to record up front. Ryan Kelly is checked out of this race. He's got the car figured out. We'll have to see if the track changes with the weather, like you mentioned early on. Track temp 98 degrees. If it starts heating up, I did notice the 14 came out of the corner again and got up near that wall. He got a little loose coming out of it and just kind of slid up. He was able to save it, no problems, but not what he wants to do if he's going to try and stay in the top 16 in points. Does not want to risk giving up any spots with damage.
No, and we're seeing now the battle that's on screen. This is the pass for 4th place of Brian P. Johnson trying to get by Isaiah Sutherland. Also battling for 2nd position of Brian McCann and John Forbes. Pretty identical on the way that both of those battles are looking. It's the driver on the inside that's moving forward at this motion, and seeing drivers continuing to move forward as quickly as they can. Two to three drivers having issues, and that's going to be Edward Sherwood Jr. and Larry Yingling, both having issues out of 4. Larry had to go through the grass after a big slide off the nose of the 71, and Sherwood Jr. gets clipped by Zach Hall into the outside wall. They keep it straight. We stay green, but a big scare that could have brought out a yellow there.
This is really getting challenging. These drivers are struggling coming out of turn 4. This is putting action that we were not really expecting for Nashville, but it's putting on quite a show. Larry Yingling was up there battling, trying to take the lead earlier in this race. He's dropped back to 21st position now. Brandon Colley going to go around outside, no problem. The 77 going to try and do it, also come out of his corner. Right now, Larry Yingling just really struggling with the tire wear. Got probably lesson learned. Probably pushed way too hard in the beginning. He's definitely a fast driver. We know he's going to probably get back up there, no problem. But this race, man, Sam, this is putting on an exciting show for these viewers.
It certainly is. More drivers that were having issues 2 laps ago. It was Cameron Sarton placing the outside wall after contact between himself and Ali Fonseca. And I think drivers are now in that phase. You talked about it, how we had our first caution 23 laps into a run. On lap 23 of a self-spin of a driver just feeling the rear end drift away. We're now 33 laps into the stint. It's closer to 32 laps that we've been green with this tire wear, and a lot more drivers were heavily aggressive on this stint compared to the first. So I'm not surprised by seeing the amount of drivers that have been getting a lot looser off the exit of the corner. Slight overcorrection that sends them into the wall or into their driver to the outside. The self-spin to the grass, though, when someone just sees the rear end kick out. That's something that I haven't seen a lot yet here, but obviously I feel like it's looming on who's going to have that big issue pop up.
Yeah, and to tell the viewers what we talk about when we say loose and all that, if you see the car coming out of the corner, everyone wants to slide up to the wall and keep the momentum and the car stay glued to the surface. But if you see any twitching out of the back end, or if you see the back end maybe angled out a little bit more than the front end, that means they're coming out of the corner loose, the car sliding to the wall with the back end. As you see the 29, that's exactly what happened there. And that just scrapes speed out of the car. It scrapes the tires. It heats them up a little more, which makes the next corner even harder. That's exactly what we talk about loose. I think maybe what we try and do here is get in-car camera on the leader. We'll see how smooth he is on the wheel, and then maybe we'll pick someone back in 20th randomly. If we can go in-car and see it right here. See he's still twitching the wheels a little bit, but we'll do a lap here with him and just kind of get an idea. And then maybe we can check someone else out in the back and see how they're driving it.
Yeah, I mean, just to paint a picture even more, as we ran on board with Ryan Kelly, just seeing the hands and how much motion there is of trying to crank the wheel to the right to keep the car straight off the exit of the corner, and pretty stout. Yes, there's a lot of, counter steering to keep that front end pointed straight, but a lot more of kinking it out to the right when you feel the rear end kick out, instead of going back and forth in the seesaw motion. We're going to see a lot more of the drivers in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, I think if we get along, if we take someone in the back, maybe battling for position, you'll see how much more they're turning that wheel. We're still seeing a lot out of Brian Kelly here. We're going to use, looks like we're on board right here with, I'm not sure, I think it just went away, but we'll see right here how much more they're driving.
Yeah, we're going to be on board with the 71 of Edward Sherwood Jr., who has been out of control at times, and he's going to be in even a trickier spot, 3 wide for a quick moment. He's got Brandon Colley to his inside now, and we'll see how the 71 and the 1 get through the corner, and pinching, trying to hold steady. Also having Colley to his inside's not helping, but they're working the wheel, but also working the pedals. That's something else that these drivers have to focus on, of trying to give throttle inputs to help get through the corner. But if you have too much, that's when you see the rear end kind of kick out, and you find yourself, even with counter steering, it's not going to work out.
Yeah, Ed Jr.'s putting on a great show for us, showing how hard it is to drive with someone on your inside. What you're seeing coming out of the corner, you might think these drivers are turning left. We always hear about left turns, but right here in the middle of the corner, he's going to start turning back to the right as the car gets loose. Right there, giving that turn back to the right keeps it from sliding too much and looping into the infield. He's doing a great job. And it's just so hard. These cars are so fun to drive, and you can see the difference in how drivers are having to turn on these cars and counter steer coming out of the corners, dealing with the loose conditions and sliding around. It's going to be a fun night as these drivers have to go even deeper now, almost 40 laps into this run.
40 laps into this run, and we're not even halfway through the race. These drivers have 2 more pit stops expected to be placed for the field, so they know there's still a lot of racing left out there on track. As seen, drivers falling backwards. We saw Larry Yingling and Bryson Hixenbaugh 20 laps ago, you could say even 30 laps ago, battling for second. Larry Yingling's now down to 26th. Bryson is down to 16th. Just showing how quickly, if you burn up your tires, you're going backwards. And you know, what a huge picture that paints for the field of where they're at as we move forward and seeing some of where the rest of the field runs. We're inside of the top 10, seeing Benjamin Nelson up to 7th now. Also seeing a battle with Douglas Newbigging, and you know, we talked about how much it was odd seeing Nelson back around 14th, 15th position early in this stint. Well, I think we figured out why. It's now getting rewarded for protecting his tires.
Yes, it is getting rewarded. I think he felt like the race would maybe stay green based off of some history running in these series in the past, and that's exactly what he applied to his driving style tonight. Take care of the car, and now he's moving up. But another driver moving up with him, Kyle Heath. He has a driver that had a lot of nice long run speed last week, and I believe about 3 weeks ago at Pocono. Looking for the finish, wants to get that redemption. He had that top 3 finish in his sights at Auto Club. Didn't work out, but he's right there moving up, trying to get under the 14. He wants to get all those points. And Douglas Newbigging, he was a driver we saw at Las Vegas run a different type of driving style, getting in and out of the corners, and we talked to him after that race, and he likes to get out there and search for a different driving style. So right now, long run, if you can make your car work in a little bit of the corner, come out lower, something we'll have to keep an eye on for Douglas Newbigging.
Another thing we've got to keep our eyes out, Bryson Hixenbaugh into pit road. Taking tires, fuel, about to be out there on track, the first driver to pit. And I think it could be thinking about 2 to a 3 stop strategy. Bryson Hixenbaugh here with this early of a stop, 40 laps into the run, and you guys talked about it. Justin, maybe split this stint into a 40-40 picture if you're thinking about taking it to the end of this race.
Yeah, I think, and what happened with him when he kind of faded back with that battle that he was driving so hard under Larry Yingling early, he might be thinking, you know what, if I just pit with everyone else, I'm back in the team positions right now. That's not going to get the win, get the points. I'm going to have to try and do something else. I think he decided, let me be the first one, get in, get those tires, make up as much ground as I can. And you know what, Sam? If a caution comes out in about 25 laps after everyone pits, he might be in the top 5 again and then hit again with everyone being on Warner tires.
That's a little bit of aspect of luck that you might need to get yourself in a victory lane. More drivers entering pit road, and a lot of them up front. Ryan Kelly, and it was a whole lot of a flock of drivers all piling in. Over 10 drivers just all in one fell swoop entered pit road cleanly. And wow, I was not expecting to see our leader and the rest of the field all at once hit pit road, but it worked out.
Wow, it looked like Daytona. Everyone was coming in a pack trying to stay with the momentum. I think these guys they wore their tires out so much. They were not expecting that massive drop-off. And looks like everyone's probably going to be coming in really soon here. Brandon Cawley pulling off, but the 38, Chris Norris, is going to stay out. You see him, maybe he wants to get that point lead if he's able to get a lap lead. Right now, Zach Hall, though, up there getting that point lead in this lap.
Now we're going to keep our eyes out on Christopher Norris or Zach Hall, because pit entry, I've watched a couple of drivers, and you have to practically drift into the pit entry, slow down, and keep the car under control if you want to have the fastest pit entry you can. As Zach Hall leads the way, will he pit this go around? It looks like it is, and talk about drifting, he's trying to drift his way through, but goes around too far, has to straighten it up because he's got more oncoming traffic. Ken Campbell gets by, and that's loss of time when you were trying to get a little too stylish with it.
Wow, lots of time, but the most important thing is he didn't fully loop it and get stuck and lose even more time. Might lose 2 or 3 spots out on track, but that could have been way worse, especially if he pulled back up and slammed into the 15 there pit, and that could have been heavy damage for both. Luckily, nothing bad came out of it, just a little bit of lost time. But Shane Theory now, he wants to lead. He's going to have to pit. We might be seeing a pit stop right here. Is he going to do the same thing? No, he's going to go.
I think for Shane, it might be a please throw a caution for me so I don't have to try to drift with the controller. I mean, for some, they say it's an advantage to be able to be very quick and twitchy with the controller. We'll see if there is a heavy advantage here, as for drivers that made the pit stop, Ryan Kelly leads the charge in 7th place currently and back on the lead lap. It's a big thing for the 3 machine, is being back on the lead lap. We can carry that momentum forward as keep our eye out on Shane Terrian, who's got a lot of quick drivers behind. Is it pit stop this go around or the next? Continues to stay out, and now going to be having drivers right on top of them. That's Brian McCann, John Forbes, driving with a fresher tire, and you get a sense of what the speed difference is like as they just blast on by, even on entry into the corner.
Yeah, it looks like in the full 1.5, maybe 2 seconds they are just pulling away. Right now, the 9's giving up so much time, but as you mentioned, if he's able to get a caution, he's got the top 9, the top 8 are on the lead lap, but from 9th on back, now 10th on back, they are a lap down. That could be a game changer for a strategy for these drivers tonight, but Johnny Brug's going to get his lap back. You can see the difference in speed right now. This is crazy.
It is certainly the most entertaining racing we could watch out for, and they somehow continue to stay green. We had 1 caution so far here tonight. If you're just joining with us, it was back on lap 23, and since then, half the field said it was go time, the other half took it patient under this stint, and it has been side-by-side racing for the last 4 laps. Now, we're currently in the middle of a pit cycle, and Shane Terrian continues to stay out, and he can stay out here for another 2 to 3 more laps. So Shane's not in a terrible position. It looks like he's trying to go extremely long. Most likely going to go with a short pit stop for his next stint if he wants to find any slight advantage, which if he goes with this strategy, it's more of a, I'm going to go, stay out as long as possible. Then that next stint, I can push it as hard as I want on these tires. But it looks like Shane over the radio, he was thinking about pitting this go around. Got a lot of traffic around him, but watch out for the 9 as he has to slow down, make the transition, and drift his way into the pit road entry. And that was one of the cleaner stops you could ask for that 9 machine on maximizing his speed and control.
It looked like he might have looped it at one point, but he did not. Which, like you mentioned, great car control from him, maximizing pit road speed, doing everything he can to try and make up any time that he gave up on those older tires. Now he's going to be about 8 lap better tires. It's not going to be a huge difference, but he's going to try and, you said, maybe short stop the next time and do what these drivers did. But right now, Chris Stitz, he's going to be the next one that we're going to be on board here trying to, is he gets sideways coming out of the corner? That's that looseness, we talked about it. Nick Crawford also got to get on pit road here shortly, as he actually is on pit road.
Both going to hit pit road this go around, both very gingerly make the pit entry. And for Chris Stitz, he has to pit this lap. I don't even think he can go another, and has to make sure for the 17 to defend the inside lane, because if he's not able to get down into pit road, could be in a trouble of falling even into a worse situation of running out of fuel. And I don't know if there's going to be enough time for the 17 to hit pit road. Makes the dramatic move, and it's going to be the cleanest entry you could ask for Chris Stitz. What a pit entry for the 17.
Maximizing his speed, even doing better than Shane Theory, and got to give the award to Chris Stitz right now. Best pit stop of the night, I think. There came in really nice speed, didn't even slide the car at all, got it slowed down. Now he's going to go get those 4 fresh tires and come out and feel like a hero with those new front tires and rear tires on the machine.
Happy to see the tires, and that is going to be the completion of the pit cycle, giving the lead to Ryan Kelly. And with pit entries, getting through traffic, the gap has grown for Ryan Kelly over Brian McCann. It's now 2.6 seconds. What a charge for this 3 machine as we have now officially entered the second half of tonight's race. We just wanted to see if that pit cycle is going to stay clean and green, and it does. So for us up in the booth, we are going to take our first commercial break of the night. Thank you so much for joining with us. After the pit cycle is Ryan Kelly, Brian McCann, Brian Johnson, and John Forsby, your top 4. Johnny Brugg find themselves slotted in 5th place. You're watching the Larry R Productions 200 at Nashville Super Speedway. It's been a fun one. We'll see you right after this as we go side by side.
Hey, this is Benjamin Nelson, your Season 7 WSSR Cup champion. I'd like to give a thanks to Roasted Gems Coffee, Trophy Smack, all the admins at WSSR, Snowy Desert Racing, everybody that tunes in to the Freaky Fast broadcast every week, including my family and friends, co-workers as well. And I am so honored to be able to hoist this beautiful trophy. I've never been more proud to be a champion.
They're 5 wide behind her pit. Oh my, the 5 wide here. This ain't gonna work. They make it last. Bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here. Coming off a 4. Look at it. That's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes.
I know Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another.
Trinity driving down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes. Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it. But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked! They wrecked each other. The top two bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no! The 4 demolishes in the 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up in the booth is Justin Malarkey, and pushing the buttons in the background is Robert Moyer Jr. Just want to give kudos to Robert for sticking out through tonight and tomorrow, as he's not feeling the best at this current time. But it's been fun racing action for these drivers as you're watching the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series Race 11. The ultimate race, the second to last of the regular season. Before we find ourselves racing in the playoffs, tonight's been the Larry Art Productions 200 at Nashville Super Speedway. And we've had some great racing, just one caution so far. But before we continue on with your race recap update, I do want to give a shout out to our amazing sponsors. First to Brandon Colley's mom for being a qualifying grid sponsor, and to our title sponsor of Roasted Gems Coffee. Go bring yourself the finest in coffee gems of Roasted Gems Coffee just for you, blended for the scents and popular blends such as French vanilla and Cinnabon. Go explore the high quality blends that they have as they continue to update through their winter collection, and soon as we enter into March, the spring collection should be a great one at Roasted Gems Coffee. Go head over to roastedgems.com and use the promo code WSSR for 5% off. Elevate your coffee experience with Roasted Gems Coffee. And a huge thank you to Trophy Smack. Trophy Smack has been our trophy builders and now partnered up with WSSR as for the first 2 seasons after WSSR came back. A little bit of history, came back for season 4, 5, and 6. Found themselves wanting to get some championship trophies for the drivers. Well, decided to go with championship rings that they got from Trophy Smack, completely customizable. And as you saw under our commercial break and on the intro of broadcast, Benjamin Nelson, last season's champion, found himself with a custom trophy that was made at Trophy Smack. And just like we did here at WSSR to hoist the champions, you yourself can go get your championship trophy, belt, ring, and more at trophysmack.com. They're already pre-made, or you can go with a customized selection for your liking. today. Go to trophysmack.com and remember to use the promo code WSSR SMACK for 10% off. Thank you to our amazing sponsors and to Larry Art Productions for being the race sponsor here tonight. As currently Ryan Kelly leads the way, but we've only had one caution so far. That was only back on lap 23. Since then, we have been completely clean and green. A couple of lead changes under our pit cycle, but primarily when we've been under green, Justin, it has been all Ryan Kelly so far, and it's looking to be like that way, but we just crossed over. It is now less than 2 seconds between a leader and second place of Brian McCann.
Yeah, we have 2 races going on tonight. We have the Ryan Kelly show up front, 2-second lead like you mentioned, and we got 2nd through 31st. All those drivers are just chasing him. Ryan Kelly just out there dominating, leading all the laps except a few on during pit stops when other guys have stayed out longer, but he's really putting on a show tonight. What he's got figured out is something that every other driver's hoping they can get figured out. Maybe it'll be the weather that changes. You just saw that shot of the track there, looking really gray in the corners. About 2.5 lanes up, track getting rubbered in. You can see the difference in the colors right there. Got a little bit of cloud cover, maybe that's going to change the weather, but I don't know. Ryan Kelly, he's just checking out regardless of everything.
And 2 drivers that have figured out how to get that speed we were just looking at. Danny Cochran, Cedric Hunter, our biggest mover so far tonight. Danny Cochran up 20 positions, Cedric Hunter up 17. Qualifying pace was not there, but the strategy calls have placed both of these drivers in a position to be inside of our top 10. And for Cedric Hunter, this is critical for the 13 with how just an absolute blender he's been in the last couple of weeks and last couple of races of just poor finish after poor finish and trying to get back into a top 10 finishing run that he was earlier in the season. And for Danny Cochran, just trying to find momentum, getting closer and closer to the playoffs as this 2 machine hasn't had the best season, but certainly we know can always be a threat at every racetrack we go to.
Yeah, we're seeing him right now. He is just showing great speed, being able to run inside the top 10. He's getting a little pressure from the 13, but he looks so smooth out there. Over this last 60 laps of green flag run, maybe actually 65.
Sorry to cut you off. Trouble for the 1 machine of Brandon Colley, finding himself being spun around after contact between the 71 of Edward Sherwood Jr. and as well of Brandon Colley, going to be bringing out not a yellow, but here's a replay of what happened between these 2 drivers. Was off the exit of turn 4. Edward Sherwood Jr. goes high, crossover mover by the 1, but breaks loose, contact spin for the 1, and you also saw there a quick slide from Benjamin Nelson, who had an issue. And down on the apron, the 1 slightly comes up, and somehow no yellow with that slide.
Yeah, no yellow. That's the big thing. That's really going to hurt Brandon Colley. That's really not what he wants to see. I wonder if what those drivers saw in front of them with Nelson, I wonder if that maybe the 71 jump on the brakes a little bit and kind of got the car sideways and collected the 1. That could be, we saw the 79, looks like maybe he got up in the wall and came across the track, and it might have caused the 71 to jump on the brakes and spin that car sideways. But an unfortunate incident right there. I mean, that's 3 drivers involved. Benjamin Nelson back in 19th position now, as we saw him before make his way up into the top 5.
Well, also a factor that, we went through a commercial break, we had a long talking of sponsors and the race recap. We are already seeing these drivers 29 for some, 31 for others, laps into this stint. This is around that realm that we were seeing drivers get extremely loose, get out of control, and had to just hold on for dear life for about 10 to 15 laps before they could come into pit road. And for these drivers right now, they are just on the cusp of being around that 50-lap zone where you can be good to pit and be good on fuel. For some other drivers, they're actually in a good spot where they might think about pitting the next lap or 2 to try to go with that extreme undercut pit stop. Right now, the fuel stint has entered where you can make it from here if you decide to pit.
The undercut could be something that is going to happen really soon here. You mentioned we're in the pit window, coming to 52 to go. Drivers can make it on fuel now. Will anyone decide to pit? If you get that caution, you're going to be trapped a lap down. That would hurt. But it will be something that these drivers could gain a ton of track position. But when we came back, we went to commercial, it was about 2.3 seconds, Brian McCann. It's down to 1.6 now. He's slowly getting in there. It was 2 seconds right after the commercial, so he's getting another 4/10 almost. Does he have something for Ryan Kelly? We talked about the weather changing. You can see the clouds really moving in. We're going to bring up the weather here shortly and see how much that changed. as you see right there, the track temp came up 2 degrees, air temperature's 88, the wind staying steady, but just a couple 2 degrees difference in track temperature with the cloud cover could change the handling a little bit. Brian McCann's got it down to 1.4 seconds while I'm here talking, Sam.
Yeah, he continues to cut it closer and closer to the end with that track temp. Again, it was at 98 degrees track temp. It's risen 2 degrees, still 88 degrees ambient temperature in that air temp. And so this field, they're starting to feel a little bit more of that temperature built in. I think because of that green flag racing, it's helped, but there have been some drivers really starting to fall apart. Their cars are struggling to stay on course. Benjamin Nelson, who we talked about with that Brandon Colley and Edward Sherwood Jr. incident, went through the grass just about 2 laps ago, had an identical slide through the grass in front of Christopher Norris that go around. And Benjamin Nelson could be one of our first drivers to think about hitting pit road. And Edward Sherwood Jr. also struggling to stay on track as we take a look at this incident again that just happened to Benjamin Nelson. And as we're talking about this, Ben has entered pit road. The tires are just completely gone, but he's had the same slide. This was the second time that he had this type of slide with between 5 laps.
Wow, that was a huge slide. I mean, that was worse than the one we saw previous to that. Just rides it right through he actually did a really nice job keeping it, not losing too much speed, didn't slow down too much. Comes right out in front of Larry Yingley. I'm sure that caught him by surprise. But wow, one of our really talented drivers losing it out there, showing it how hard it is to keep this car on the track. But Brian McCann, he's not worried. He's at under 1.3 seconds, trying to run down our leader and put a show on here in the final 48 laps.
And trying to close in, I think the big thing for Ryan Kelly and Brian McCann, McCann has to be one of the first drivers to hit pit road between those two. Needs to close in this gap a little bit more, maybe not on pure speed. But you can't allow Ryan Kelly to pull out to another major gap. Pitting early and breaking away. And what's crazy to think is that for Ryan Kelly and Brian McCann, they both pitted under the same lap. It was just a faster pit stop and just pit entry and exit, everything combined, that allowed Ryan Kelly to get that over 1 to 2 second advantage over the 8 machine.
Yeah, and the advantage that Ryan Kelly might have is he's the leader, obviously, so he knows when he's going to pit, and Brian McCann probably doesn't want to stay out that lap longer and lose 1.5 seconds on tires and try and make it up. So Ryan Kelly's able to say, prepare himself for that pit, and all of a sudden Brian McCann's behind him. He's got to slam the brakes on, make sure he's got the brake bias adjusted, get it slowed down, everything puts a little bit harder on him. So that could be something that makes it really hard for Brian McCann in second position, and John Forbes, who we don't want to forget, is right there with these guys. If they make any issues on pit road, he can come out later.
And then almost a little bit under 3 seconds back is the battle for 4th place. Johnny Brugg just made the pass over Brian P. Johnson, and Johnny Brugg has been pretty quiet this season. Again, missed a race for the 20 machine, hasn't had the best luck recently, but Johnny Brugg is a fast driver, and he's proven it right now. And if Johnny Brugg continues on this trend of a top 5 finish, he could be one of those drivers that could sneak his way into a playoff contending position and make the playoffs if he has a good finish this week and next week.
Johnny Brugg would be one of those drivers that if he does get in, but the 28 is going to go in the pits, going to be one of our first drivers, Brian Johnson, to get into pit road, get those fresh tires, see what kind of ground he can make up. Johnny Brugg, though, if he does get in, he's a driver that could win the championship. I know he's fast. He's a great driver. Had a chance going at Auto Club last week. Maybe could have won that race, but had some issues early in the run. But he was leading that race when he had some issues. So he's a driver that we are definitely going to keep an eye on if he gets into the playoffs.
A lot of drivers over the radio. This go around, it's pit stop time. Watch out for plenty of drivers thinking about pit entry. Cedric Hunter arrived ripping on that yellow line. Doesn't look like it's going to be the 13, 31, or the 14. They continue racing forward for the battle for 7th place. But drivers from around 11th on back, pit entry for Bryson Hixenbaugh, Ollie Fonseca, Chris Stitz, and Zach Hall, all deciding pit road is this time.
Give me 4 fresh tires. I want them. The 31 wants 4 fresh tires. You saw him come out of the corner. You saw the gloves go across the windshield, zigzagging left and right, trying to get back control of that car, doing everything he can. He wants to probably get in and get those tires soon, try and get an advantage. Not going to pit this time, though. Going to stay out. As we see other drivers getting ready to pit soon, though. When do you want those tires? You can't stay out too long, give up any more track position. We saw the 9 car, Shane Therian was one of our longest staying out drivers on that previous go-around. He's one that we're going to keep an eye on.
He's already pitted. And also into pit road's Ryan Kelly into pit road. Kelly, early pit stop, not going to be waiting very long. And the 3 into pit road, Also going to be seen when Brian McCann's going to make his stop. It's going to be a lap later, and also stayed out. John Forbes stays out. Johnny Brugg makes his pit entry into pit road. That was a very aggressive pit entry by the 20. A lot of smoke when he made his way across the line, and I'm keeping an eye out on the black flag. These drivers are going around 127 miles per hour off the exit of the corner. They have to slow down to 45 miles per hour when they hit the line.
45 miles an hour, do not speed. That would throw your race away. Don't want to have any of those problems. Looks like the 11's coming into pit road right now. He's going to get us slowed down. Doesn't want to lock up the tires. Risk sliding through that yellow cone right there. That would be a penalty. Does a great job. Good entry for John Forbes. He's going to be the last car to top 5 positions, looks like, the pit, as now Kyle Heath is going to take over the lead and Cody Reed in second.
Kyle Heath stays out. The other drivers are around him. Cedric Hunter and Isaiah Sutherland make their stop into pit road. Looking back at Ryan Kelly and Brian McCann, both came into pit road. A lap difference, and Ryan Kelly continues to pull away. Over 3 seconds is the gap between the 3 and the 8 machine, and Brian P. Johnson, who pitted sooner than those drivers, is in between, but was not able to stay ahead of Ryan Kelly.
That could be what makes it hard for Brian McCann to get to the lead. If he does, he will have the 1 lap better tire, but he's going to have to get around the second place machine eventually once he's pit stop cycle through. Brian Johnson will be in second. That's going to be something that could really eat up his tires. We see how hard it is to pass, and having that 1 lap better tire could easily get eaten up if you're not able to get around a car really quick.
As the 99 of Cameron Sartin trying to stay on the lead lap ahead of Cody Reed. These drivers going to be thinking about pit stops here very quickly. Also, fast drivers trying to make their way through our lead lap driver, Cody Reed. That's James Kaufman in the 25, as well as the 11 of John Forbes, and Kaufman pushing Cody Reed all the way up to the wall. He wants to get out of the way, knowing Fresh Roberts trying to get by.
Wow, up against the wall. Did a great job not getting sideways or getting into the wall with the marbles up there. You can see those little black specks up there. That's all tire wear that just comes off these tires. You see it right there in the corner. You get up there, it makes the car like ice. The 52 coming out of the corner, a little sideways there. Johnny Brugg going to get by him. Douglas Newbiggie trying to get by him in the next corner. Cody Reed, your leader, has not pitted yet. You're seeing the difference in tires as these guys are just able to hold the bottom and grip it.
There are around 5 to 6 drivers still needing to hit pit road. 1 lap down, Brandon Colley still needing to come into pit road. Also the 99 of Cameron Sartin needing to make their stop. And that's the top 4. Currently it's Cody Reed and Edward Sherwood Jr. Cody Reed in first, Sherwood Jr. in fourth, that are on the oldest sets of tires. Then the drivers on the newest of our top 4, 37 laps on this set. It's Nick Crawford and Larry Yingling. How long do they decide to stay out? It's going to be a big question, as Ryan Kelly is slowly actually closing in on Crawford and Yingling.
What Yingling, Crawford, Cody Reed are hoping for, they want that quick yellow, because these guys would all go in and get tires, the top 3, but everyone behind them would also. The same with Ed Shearer Jr. He's on the same strategy. The top 4 want that caution. Then they'll go in, they'll get their tires as the top 4, and from 5th on back, I would think they would also have to get tires. We see how important they are tonight. It's the 3 and the 28. That's the closest anyone's been to the 3 all night. But is he going to be able to do anything with them? We're going to find out shortly, though. He's going to get into traffic. Traffic could come into play potentially later on into this run. It's going to be something that is going to be really interesting. Under 35 to go now.
Under 35 to go. And now we're going to be seeing Ryan Kelly and Brian P. Johnson within a half a second. This is the closest Ryan Kelly has had competition around him throughout this whole entire race in the last, I would say, almost feels like 100 laps, under the last 80 at least. And now we're going to be seeing Brian McCann, who's the biggest threat before Pitt's most recent pit cycle started. Now a little bit over 2 seconds, but has been slowly chipping away, is Brian McCann. Starting to close in on the gap on the 3 machine, and it's helping out. I think the pressure of seeing Brian P. Johnson might be causing the 3 to give up time. Might also be thinking about saving some tires, knowing that the 28's right behind him.
I think you hit all those options on the nail on the head with that. Is the 3 maybe saving just in case Brian McCann gets to him and then he's able to pull? Or is the 28 making the 3 drive harder than he wanted to? And then is Brian McCann going to come by later and get around both of these guys? We might be able to get a nice finish here. We thought Ryan Kelly was going to walk away with this. He had such a big lead 2.5 seconds earlier in the race. But now these guys are getting a little closer to him, putting pressure on. We talked about the weather changing. Maybe it's just giving Ryan Kelly a little bit of trouble in the car. Maybe he prefers that sun out. It's something we're definitely going to keep an eye on. Though right now, the 52 still not pitting. They want that yellow. Nick Crawford wants the yellow. Larry Yingling, Ed Jr., all those guys are hoping for the yellow.
Well, I mean, they're hoping for the yellow so bad that they're actually talking to one another between Cody Reed and Nick Crawford, who are teammates on Monday night for the ISRC Truck Series, joking around over the driver's chat saying, hey, Nick is saying to Cody, you want to maybe spin out in front of the field, bring out a yellow, maybe help us out here, we need a caution. Not going to be the case. Cody Reed, he wants one, and Cody spinning out on pitted road entry. Oh no, for the 52. Right, we're talking about he needs a caution to come out. Well, that's a zone where even if you spin out, the yellow will not be thrown, and Cody Reed losing all the time that was necessary to even try to salvage a decent finish. Well, now he's just got to get into his box and hope for a caution maybe to save him here.
All right, Sam, I don't care what anyone says. That's not the commentator's curse. That was a teammate curse right there. The teammate joked about it, and it happened. That has nothing to do with us. We didn't talk about him. He didn't spin out because of no curse on our end. I say we're clear on that. What do you think?
He was spinning out before I said anything. I'm going to take it as that. It's Larry Yingling now going to be taking the lead after passing Nick Crawford. Those are the last two drivers up front that need to come into pit road besides Brandon Colley, who is still out there on track, waiting for whenever the one's going to come into pit road. Currently the second driver 1 lap down. Needs caution at least this lap or the next, or will not have enough fuel even if a yellow flag comes out. And for our leaders currently, Larry Yingling, Nick Crawford, comfortable zone. But the battle for what should turn into the actual lead once this pit cycle is through, Ryan Kelly, Brian P. Johnson, and Brian McCann. McCann is chipping away. It's now the distance between the 3 machine and the 8 is pretty equal to where they were right before they started this pit cycle.
And the 8 has 1 lap better tires, but he does have 1 car between them, something he did not have before. But do we think is Brian Johnson putting the pressure on Ryan Kelly, making him drive harder? Or is Ryan Kelly saving? Something we do not know, but we'll figure it out as this race goes on, because time will tell us if when these drivers get near each other. But Brian McCann just coming out of the corner so clean, not even sliding up to the wall coming out of the corner. The car's driving so nice for him, he's able to control it, just doing what he needs to. How's he going to get around these guys? He's got less than 30 laps to go to do it, though.
I mean, at this point, it's kind of just cross your fingers, hope for the best. As the one machine that saw Brennan Colley pulling into pit row, the caution never came out. That was needed for the one. And for Colley, he will call it a night. It's left the server. And you see that for Brennan Colley, who, again, started on pit road. It's already a rough start. And it just kept on snowballing as the night progressed. As we are now left with a total of 22 drivers on the lead lap. That might go down to just 20 once we see Larry Yingling and Nick Crawford hit their stops, but less than 30 laps to go. Justin, this has probably been the better racing that we could have asked for at Nashville Super Speedway, and it's only going to get better heading into next week as the drivers go to Atlanta Super Speedway for the last race of the regular season. I think all the drivers know this is crunch time for points for those that are trying to make the top 16 for the playoffs, and as well, drivers that are going to be up front, Ryan Kelly, Brian P. Johnson, Brian McCann. Those 3 drivers are inside of our top 4 points and are all within just 3 points of one another on who could be battling for the regular season championship. As spin is out, it's Shane Terrian in the 9 that brings out the caution on the front stretch.
Oh, wow. 25 laps to go, we get a caution. Now this is going to change everything. These drivers are all going to pit, but Larry Yingling, Nick Crawford, they're going to be the 2 that go into the pits first. They're going to get 4 tires just like everyone else is. They are going to come out most likely as the top 2 positions unless Ryan Kelly and Brian P. Johnson can make up spots on pit road. But this is going to change everything. Ryan Kelly's going to have to now pass cars in these final 20 laps to get to the lead. We're going to see what happened right here, though, with the 9 first.
And it's going to be Shane Terrian trying to stay off of the 25, but James Kaufman rips it to the inside, overcorrects, able to keep it off the wall, but completely spun it around with oncoming traffic, and that's what throws out the yellow. Luckily, there was enough spacing where everyone was able to avoid the 9 machine, but that's the reasoning for our most recent caution, and this changes everything. Ryan Kelly just went from the control vehicle to now he could be starting behind some traffic, and we have not seen that at all here tonight.
That, and also look at the gap between the front two cars to Ryan Kelly. Ryan Kelly not able to pull right up to them because there was some lap cars between them on the track, which caused him not to be able to pull right up. That's going to maybe make it almost impossible for him to even get a chance on that front row by having a great pit stop, which he's had all night. But I can't see it happening now with that distance getting into pit road.
Now we're going to be seeing where and who's going to be placed up front. Nick Crawford and Larry Yingling expect to be the front two drivers. Larry Yingling won this race all the way back in Season 6. The one time WSSR ran here, and the 67 will be the lead drivers. They exit out of pit road. There's actually a battle on who is going to be the third driver out, but Ryan Kelly keeps that spot as everyone else makes the charge out of pit road. And in a blink of an eye, everything changes, and we're going to be less than 25 laps to go when we go green. Justin, get the popcorn out. This is going to be fun.
Get the popcorn out. So far, here's what we've learned in this race. Ryan Kelly on restarts. He was the control car. He got a huge jump, built up a couple tenths of a second lead, even over a second one time, a couple tenths the other times. But now he's not going to be the control car. He's not going to be able to get that jump. Will Larry Yingling or Nick Crawford get the jump and get out there and get that clean air and go over these final 20 laps? Will the tires last 25 laps pushing that hard? That will be another thing. We're kind of right in that window where the cars could really start falling off after about 15 laps of pushing hard.
I mean, we've seen 15 laps, we've seen 20 laps where the fall off happens, but we know that the lead driver, whoever is in the control vehicle, so that's going to be Larry this time, every restart, before this, we saw Ryan Kelly just bounce out to immediate launch where he was able to keep the lead and have a lot of spacing to work with. I'm curious if Larry's going to have that same advantage here with Nick Crawford, as neither one of these drivers have been in a spot to really restart up front and be able to time one another. This looks to be all in the hands of Larry Yingling for this next launch, that he's going to be in the prime position to get a lead. Then it's about how do you save that position and defend everyone behind you, because we really haven't seen anyone make a pass for the lead under green flag conditions.
Yeah, whoever gets the lead going into that first turn is going to hope that the second place car is able to kind of make Ryan Kelly and Brian Johnson struggle getting around them so that they can get away. I want to talk about real quick John Force back in 9th. He was one of our drivers running in the top 4 before pit stops. He stayed out a little bit longer than some of those other guys, maybe trying a different strategy, but unfortunately with the caution, now he lost spots back to 9th position now. Not ideal for him. He was one of the drivers we had circled, but we're going to be going back to green here really shortly, so let's get the top 10 order. This is going to be a great restart.
Waiting to see where the drivers will officially be slotted as we are getting the one to go marker. Do want to give our last shout out to our amazing sponsors. Again, Colley's mom. Sadly, Brandy Colley's not going to have the finish that she wants. I know she said see y'all next week. We cannot wait to see you in the chat next week for Colley's mom and being our qualifying sponsor as well. Thank you to Roast the Gems Coffee. If you haven't checked out their coffee blends yet, well, they also have merch that you can check out. Plenty of tees, t-shirts, coffee mugs, plenty of things to check out when purchasing at roastedgems.com. Remember to use promo code WSSR for 5% off. And Trophy Smack. Well, if we see Larry Yingling or Nick Crawford getting to victory lane, they might want to get a wall smack picture of seeing the 9 machine of Shane Tarian. That was the saving grace that got him in this position. Wall smack is a metal plate that you get to put your own custom image on. They come with its own magnet plate, wall safe magnet placing system, or you can buy their brand new stand where you can place it on your shelf, desk, wherever you would like to show off your wall smack. Remember, when purchasing, go to trophysmack.com and use the promo code WSSR SMACK for 10% off. Thank you to Wall Smack. Thank you to that of Roasted Gems Coffee and Colley's mom for being the major sponsors, and tonight to Larry Art Productions for being the race sponsor. Pace car into pit road. It's time to settle it. Who's winning at Nashville Super Speedway for the Larry Art Productions 200? Here we go into the restart zone. Larry Art Productions. We're going to see Larry Yingling up front, hoping for the Larry to Larry combo to work. But Nick Crawford now has to fend off as Ryan Kelly, great launch for the 3. He's already up to second.
Wow. All night we saw him launch really good. We weren't sure if he was going to be able to do it from that second row, but he did. He's going to try and get underneath Larry Yingling going into turn 3 and make this he wants to get back to the lead really fast here, Sam, as we go into turn 3.
Tackle and move forward, but some of these drivers have already learned with being inside of lap traffic that the outside row, there is speed to be found, but everyone else, they're 3 wide. There's a driver spinning. It's Zach Hull in the 32 into the grass. We stay green though up front, and Ryan Kelly trying to work on the outside groove. The 3 has found the speed up there, the grip, but will Larry Yingling hold on? There's a slight wiggle, and it's the 3 with the momentum on the outside.
They're still side by side, though. The 3 holding strong on that outside. He's going to maybe be able to pinch Larry Yingling down on the inside here, coming out of turns 3 and 4. If Ryan Kelly gets back to the lead, how are these drivers going to get back around him? We know how much speed he has on these short runs, medium runs, and long runs. He's able to do it. Back to the lead. Didn't waste more than 2.5 laps. Gets around Larry Yingling. Ryan Kelly looking to try and check out now.
Even if it was a green-white checkered, Ryan Kelly took the lead. 20 laps to go. There's still a little bit of a shuffling action, though, going on with third on back. Right now, Nick Crawford trying to just hold on for dear life. As Scott Brian P. Johnson on his inside groove. Also seen Douglas Newbegin, but Brian McKinnon, the 8. He was the last hope for most of the green flag racing. He's stuck mired in 5th place. A lot of work if the 8 wants to get up front with now 19 laps to go here tonight.
Yeah, the 8 started back there on that restart in 5th position on the inside lane. Maybe not ideal for him with the way the jump kind of formed on that outside. Ryan Kelly kind of just shot out of the cannon there. Worked out perfect for him, and he was able to get to the lead in 2.5 laps. But the 8's going to do whatever he can. He's going to try and get underneath Brian P. Johnson here, just not able to do it. He's going to have pressure from Douglas Newbegin right behind him. And Johnny Brugg, as a 2 right behind him, gets a little bump into the wall, a little contact there coming out of the corner. Not what he wants to see. We know he was having a great run tonight, Danny.
I'm also seeing the 7 and that blue machine. That was Douglas Newbegin at the outside wall. Douglas Newbegin, the one time that I'm concerned for the 7 is when it comes down to these races where it is all about, how quick can you be for a 20-25 lap run, where if you overcook the tires, you can be in trouble. And the 7 has worked on the fact of once we get into these crunch time races, he's clutched up a few times this season. He's going to need another clutch moment to find himself getting inside of our top 5 and staying there. Johnny Brugg's been having a good run, but up front, Nick Crawford has found some pace. He's trying to now make the move on Larry Yingling, and the battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and 5th starting to ramp up as well, as they were getting ramped up just outside the top 10.
Will Nick Crawford be able to get to Ryan Kelly? Will he be the one that is able to dethrone the leader for the majority of this race tonight? He's going to have a chance, though, as he comes out of the corner, still side by side, not able to clear Larry Yingling. This makes me think back to earlier in the race where there was a lot of side-by-side passing with Hicks and Baugh and Larry Yingling, and then before you know it, they started dropping through the field, burning their tires up. With 16 laps to go, I'm not sure if that'll happen. But Nick Crawford gets a little sideways coming out of the corner, just a little twitch. You saw the car get a little free as he was trying to come out of the exit of turn 2.
Talking about Bryson Hickenbaugh, he's now in 9th place. It has been a full recovery run after that stint after our first caution, as Nick Crawford clears for the lead, but that slight wiggle gives Larry Yingling another chance to get to the outside quarter panel. Able to fully clear is Crawford, though. That's a massive pass, and now right on the back bumper of Ryan Kelly. But how much of Ryan Kelly's tires has the 3 been just waiting and looming to put on attack mode with 15 laps to go? I mean, the 3 knew, hey, with that most recent restart, we were going to have about 23 laps to go. If you overcooked your tires early in a run, we were going to have nothing for those last 5 laps. And it looks like the 3 was waiting for this very last moment. Now 14 laps to go.
He can't wait any longer, though. That 74 is coming. He wants to get the win. He had one earlier at Texas. Now he wants to get another one tonight, but we got 3 wide in the back of the field here, right here in the middle of the field. Excuse me. Douglas Newbegin up high to 11 in the middle. 63 down low. 63, we mentioned, he's got to be very careful. He does not want to give up any points if he's going to get into the top 25. He's in a position to make the pass, but don't slide up. If you slide up, there could be trouble coming out of the corner, and these 3 guys are...
Oh,
there's the trouble.
John Forbes able to keep it straight. Johnny Brugg sliding back into the field, but decides to throw it back to the outside wall, keeping it straight. It was We Stay Green, and that was such a heroic throwaway run for Douglas Newbegin, who caught up into the outside wall, overcorrected, could have taken out more drivers, and instead decided to take the more protective approach of, I'll throw away my race to let you continue staying green.
Huge shout out to Douglas Newbegin for doing that for his fellow competitors. If he didn't do that and throw it up into the wall, that could have kicked him in. As you can see the 14 get into the wall, but yeah, that was really nice for Douglas Newbegin. He definitely saved a bunch of cars from getting caught up in that accident.
Definitely did. It's going to also force Sean Forbes almost outside of the top 10. He'll fall back to 9th place. Side-by-side racing for Isaiah Sutherland and Ken Campbell. Both of these drivers in a must compete and get up front. Both of these drivers were tied for 17th in points. They're both trying to run down and catch up to Ollie Fonseca, who's in 8th place. Or could they try to steal positionings from other drivers with Brandon Collins being out of this race? That's more points that can be grabbed for these drivers here tonight.
all about the points, points, points. This race ends. You got one next week at Atlanta. You don't want to have to go in there with winning because Atlanta, big unknown next week. We never had these cars on track. Nick Crawford, he wants to get that win, though. He's still putting the pressure. He's going to go up high, get into turns 3. He's going to cut it down low here. He's going to get a huge run coming out of his corner, Sam. It's going to be a battle. He might get a chance. Not able to keep the momentum, though. It slides up. Maddox hits the wall with the rear end, but he's shown that he can get into the corner. He just showed his move there. Ryan Kelly now knows he's got to defend that.
He has to defend with 10 laps to go. Was that one move with how bad this track has been just tearing up tires? Was that one move it? Does Nick Crawford have anything left as he slowly fades back into the clutches of the rest of the field is trying to woo their way forward? Ryan Kelly backs off the center of the corner, tries to slow down for Nick Crawford, and Ryan Kelly, center off of 4, it seems to be one of his weaker spots. It is very slow for the 3 at that position.
Weaker spot for him, but the 74 has something figured out. He's going to maybe get under him coming out of the corner. He's able to get down to the yellow line. The 3 not down to the yellow line. The 74 doing everything he can. Not able to get to the side. He just wants to try and side draft him, maybe stall him out. Tried so hard, not able to do it in that corner, though. He's going to try to back up the corner here again. Goes in high, gets down to the yellow line. Is he going to be able to do it? Looks like he's going to push up coming out of the corner, Sam.
Pushing up out of the corner, and Kelly touches the wall, grazes it. Behind him, Johnny Brook, Yangling, and others scatter in front of the field as everyone brings out the big one as they cross the line. Oh no, we're going to a shootout. And now the question is, who's left running? Kyle Heath flipping.
Oh, 63 Bryson Hixenbaugh, you see it right on the screen. He was in the middle of the field giving up valuable points. That could be detrimental to his chance of getting in the top 25. That storyline might be ruined for next week.
Johnny Brugg was hoping for the run. Bryson Hixenbaugh was needing points as well. And you're going to see it 3 wide. They just squeezed off the exit of the corner, and that's always the danger of going 3 wide racing. Hixenbaugh and Brian McCann, they're going to come across one another's nose. That doesn't look to be too bad a damage. But then there's the contact between Kyle Heath into Larry Yingling, and the 31, heard it from the driver's chat, just breakdancing as he glides until he lands on all 4.
He just wants to get back on all 4 tires so he could get the pit road, try and get that damage fixed. Wow, just not a night that he wanted. The ending back happened the last week at Auto Club, happening tonight. Accident after accident, not what he wants. We're going to have to try and get on board right here. Here we are with the 31, see what happens.
And just trying to find a way to get through. And almost did. Saw an opening, kept his foot in the throttle, and then clipped right before he was fully passed. And going from I'm okay, to the worst wreck you can be in.
Yeah, he actually had that chance to maybe come out in the top 4 if he was able to get through it. But just, you see right here, just so close, and Larry Yingling slided down the track, and there he is upside down. Not what Kyle Heath wanted. He had a chance maybe to get to the top 5, but did not work out.
Oh, and another driver who gets slight contact late. Cedric Hunter, 13, almost got through and is one of the few drivers with required damage after a slight contact into Larry Yingling. And it was just one of those things where 13's trying to get through, and then it's after everyone had wrecked and was trying to stay on the apron. Slight contact, we're going to see it here, but Cedric Hunter, who was trying to beat the curse that he's had the last 3 weeks of being outside the top 10, this contact could be keeping him with the streak of staying outside the top 10.
Wow, he was so close to getting through, but it was the spinning car, Larry Yingling, got Kyle Heath, and it kind of just threw off the course of his path, and then 13 had nowhere to go. Required damage, not what you want to see. No drivers pitting, though. Don't want to lose track of that. I didn't see anyone from up front pitting. I mean, you don't want to give up that track position with having the 10, 12 laps on the tires, but will anyone come in the back?
There are some drivers that did pit. Anthony Gaudio going to be the first driver that did pit. Well, you saw so many replays, we missed pit stops that happened, but Anthony Gaudio taking 2 tires for the 29. John Forbes takes 4 tires in 11th. Shane Terrian's going to take 2 tires for the 9 machine. Bryson Hixenbaugh, Brian P. Johnson, 4 tires and fuel for everyone else that went through. Benjamin Nelson all the way down in 19th position, taking 4 tires and fuel from 20th on back. Everyone caught up in that incident have been in pit road for extensive amount of time, getting damage repair, but hey, being in 10th place with fresh tires compared to the rest of the field that has 19 lap older tires, this is I would say the top 9 are sitting ducks at this moment.
It could be, and we're going to have at least a little bit more laps on a green-white checkered, I think, here. So if they have about 4 laps to do it, maybe 4 tires might pay off. We saw the difference in speed. It looked like it was a good second and a half, but if these guys get 2 by 2, how do you go? Where do you go? Do you go up in that 3rd lane and try and just keep it going?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the 3rd lane be utilized. I think that's exactly where, if you've got fresh tires, you have to place yourself, and it's a gambling game of seeing are you going to survive the exit of the corner where everyone's kind of been closing in and almost making contact with one another. And what a crucial time for these drivers, as we've got some that are in some good finish positions. We've got the cutoff drivers, the 3 that are very close to one another. You got Ollie Fonseca coming in tonight, 16th in points, running in 3rd. And then the 2 drivers that are directly behind Ollie in points, they're going to be side by side, 5th and 6th position. It's Ken Gamble and Isaiah Sutherland, hoping for as many points as possible, but ultimate goal, finish ahead of the 24.
Finish ahead of the 24, and that's the way to get the points. The 24 is going to say, nope, you're not going to finish ahead of me. It's going to be an exciting restart in the 2nd row. It's going to be an exciting restart in the 1st row. Will Nick Crawford be able to outbrake Ryan Kelly getting into turn 1 and stay alongside him and be able to utilize that little bit of side draft going down the straightaway to try and stall him out and get around him in turns 3 and 4?
Who's ready for the restart? Welcome to those that maybe just joined with us for tonight's race. We have seen majority of this race be clean and green, but a quick caution with 24 laps to go. Kind of changed everything. It's put us into a close shootout. We just had the big one with 8 laps to go. Now, top 9 drivers on 20-plus old tires. Everyone else on either 4 freshies or took 2 tires. We'll see how this one's going to finish out. 3 laps to go. Who's winning the Lariat Productions 200, the second to last race of the regular season? If Ollie wins, he's locked into the playoffs. If Isaiah Sutherland or Ken Campbell get into victory lane, they're locked in. And it's go time. 3 laps to go here at Nashville Super Speedway. Justin, it's Ryan Kelly pulling away, but everyone else survive as they're trying to further on back.
Ryan Kelly got everyone snapping on that restart, jumped out to a massive 3/10 lead already. He's going to try and do what he needs to do to get that second victory of the night. Nick Crawford is going to want to try and get as close as he can to at least try and make an effort. As we see the 77 go 3 wide down into the corner, they're all going to be able to keep it without making contact. Great driving going there. They are 3-4 wide coming out of the corners. They're 4
wide. They're 4 wide. They're almost 5 wide, battling for 6th place. They will stay 4 wide for a quick moment. John Force backs out. No, Anthony Gaudio into the outside wall. Now Isaiah Sutherland with the spin. Cody Reed, Christopher Norris, and others. We're going to overtime.
Overtime, you saw Anthony Gaudio get hooked. The 14, we mentioned him needing the points. Not what Isaiah Sutherland wants to see. That's going to really hurt him. These drivers went 3. They were almost 4 wide coming out of the corners, going across the finish line. I don't know how they didn't wreck going across the finish line when they were bumping into each other, but they saved it for the corner.
And everyone was trying their way to get through that incident. But all the drivers are with fresh rubber. They're running about 3 to 4 tenths faster than the drivers ahead of them. And Anthony Gaudio was the first. Took 2 tires under that last stop. The 9 of Shane Terrian took 2 tires. And a driver that snuck his way through, John Forbes, 4 tires for himself. But you're going to see them squeezing 3 wide. 2 rows deep, almost 4 wide with Hickson Ball on the outside, but then it gets even crazier off the exit of the corner because they're trying to just stay and give as much space as possible. But when you exit off these corners, it's been so tough as they've been squeezing and finding any space possible. It's Isaiah Sutherland, Gaudio, slight contact between them. They stay 4 wide, but it's on the entry of the corner. It's when chaos reigns, when John Force gets back onto the track. No contact yet, but then Sutherland, Gaudio send that 29 to the outside wall, and everyone else starts drifting around him.
Just was not enough room for all those drivers getting into that corner. Down on the apron, got to get back up on the track. Just not enough room, and they were putting on a great show, but how long could that have lasted? That was pretty much like Talladega Daytona last lap. They were so side by side everywhere. The new tires, though. These guys are going to have another restart. John Forbes has looked like he's going to be in 7th position. He has the 4 tires. Is he going to be able to be one of those guys that gets up there and battles Ryan Kelly if we get another attempt at a green-white checkered?
I think for John, he needs to get up to inside of our top 4. He needs to be inside of our top 2 rows if he wants a chance to really tackle it, with the green-white checker with 2 to go when we go green. He's going to need another attempt at overtime, and luckily for John Forbes, we do have other attempts. 3 in total if needed. This is going to be our first attempt at overtime, and I mean, Justin, we've seen overtime a couple of times this season, but if you're Ryan Kelly, these restarts have been so impressive. He just takes off immediately. We know that the 3 can change up this rotation on when he wants to take off, and I feel like this is the perfect restart to maybe do a hesitational go and catch everyone trying to jump that start.
We've seen all night how good he's been on restarts. All night, just getting to it, going. Even when he wasn't the leader, he got the lead back in 2.5 laps, about 45, 50 laps ago on a restart. That was really impressive. You're going to see a restart here on the next time by. Is he going to go early, middle, late? I don't know if it matters. He's just so good right now on these restarts. I think the biggest thing would be, like you mentioned, does he get it? If there's another caution and you get up there a guy with fresh tires, John Forbes, will he have that grip to be able to match that restart and stay with him through the corners?
Well, who will have the speed? If this is your first time watching overtime on iRacing, it's pretty simple. It's a green-white checkered, so we have 2 laps to go when we go back to green flag racing. If under this first lap we get a wreck where it brings out a yellow flag, we will then go into our second attempt at overtime. But if we ever cross the line and start the 1 to go white flag, it doesn't matter if you wreck and potentially should have brought out a yellow. It does not matter. It's all about who crosses the line first. Bumping, rubbing, spinning someone. We've seen it all, and it might come down to that if you're going to win here tonight.
Will it also come down to a potential slide job, dive bomb? If anyone's close, will they be desperate enough to make a move? Ollie Fonseca running in third, he wants that win, like you said. Danny Cochran, he wants to win. Those guys win, that changes everything for them. That puts them into the playoffs. They don't have to worry about next week. They can sleep all good for the next 7 days, not having to worry. But we're going to find out really soon here. This is going to be interesting. We still have one other lap of these drivers pacing, building up the anticipation.
And the Cinderella story that could have been for Johnny Brugg, I think it might have come to a close as he has called it a night for the 20 machine. And Danny Cochran now kind of painted a picture for the 2 machine coming into tonight. Missed last week's race, bumped himself outside of the top 25 in points. But if Danny Cochran or Chris Stitz find themselves in a victory lane, if they have a good performance here tonight, it might put them back in the top 25, and their win could bump someone out of the top 16 that was in the top 16 coming into tonight.
All these bumping drivers getting wins, bumping each other out of the points. It's something that makes this league so exciting. How often do you get into a league where being in the top 16 in points with the win, and you have drivers outside of the top 16 with the win that might bump you? Not often do you see it. Just speaks volumes for the talent level of all these drivers in this league. What a great race this has been, but it's been a great season. I know it's going to come to the regular season next week, going to be our last one for the regular season, Atlanta Super Speedway, but then we're going to have an action-packed playoff, which is going to be really fun to call.
It certainly is. Ryan Kelly here tonight. His storyline, if he wins here tonight, going to have a good buffer to work with going into next week to try to win the regular season championship, which gives you bonus points into the playoffs. So this 3 machine knows how important this win could be with playoffs right around the corner. Pace car pulls off into pit road. It's overtime attempt number 1. The Larry R Productions 200 at Nashville Super Speedway is back underway, and it's a delayed start for Ryan Kelly, trying to catch Nick Crawford sleeping. Does well, pulls away. Danny Cochran now moves into 3rd, and for Cochran, he needs Nick Crawford to close in the gap, or will we see a wreck? They're already 2, 3, almost 4 wide off the exit turn 2.
Off the exit of 4, Ryan Kelly just wants to see that white flag. He's got the gap over to 74. 74 is not going to be able to make any kind of move with this amount of gap. The 2, though, he got up into 3rd place, but they're still 3 wide back into the field. As we're going to come to 1 to go, I think he's going to see that white flag.
Open to see the white flag is Ryan Kelly. They're scattering with 3 wide, 4 wide to keep it together. This is it. It's your Roast to Gems white flag for Ryan Kelly. Only 1 overtime attempt needed. The rest of the field trying to hold steady. Danny Cochran trying to steal 2nd for the 2 machine. But Kelly, who's been the dominator here tonight, he pulls away as the madness and the chaos continues to be everywhere. Battling for the drivers just inside of and outside of the top 10. But off the exit turn number 4, Ryan Kelly, welcome to the multi-time winner class for season 8, our 3rd winner of 2 times this season. Ryan Kelly takes the win and solidifies himself as the points leader going into Atlanta next week.
takes the win, avoids the chaos in the back. They were wrecking all over the field. I see Brian McCann stuck in the middle of the infield, but Ryan Kelly gets the win. Nick Crawford able to stay in second position, holding off that hard charge from Danny Cochran, who's right there to celebrate with Ryan Kelly on the back straightaway. Congratulations to him. And you see the 11 coming up. John Forbes able to get back to fourth. He was probably looking for that green-white checker to maybe get up there and get that win, but it just did not come.
It just did not come down and lining up for those drivers in the finish that they were hoping for. But for Ryan Kelly, he certainly was a driver last season, had to fight and claw to make sure he was inside of the top 25 for his win to count to make the playoffs. With this win, it puts him in a position that he might win the regular season championship, as Kelly gets to have his fun at the start-finish line. Congratulations to the 3 machine. For us up in the booth, enjoy the smoke show as we will prepare to talk to our top 3 in a spotlight driver right after this. We'll talk to Ryan Kelly, Nick Crawford, Danny Cochran, and someone else right in a few. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series, the second to last race of the season. It was a fun one to watch, but the driver that was up front dominating for practically most of the race, and a couple of times we're going to fight his way forward. We have the 3 machine of Ryan Kelly. Ryan, you take the pole, your first one of the season, and most of this race dominating fashion, staying up front. How are you feeling being the winner of the Larry Art Productions 200?
Yeah, I feel great. Can't ask for a much better race than that. Qualified first and was able to lead some laps there early on, and was just hoping it would go green till the end there, but a couple cautions threw some excitement at the end, and happy to still come off P1.
Ryan Kelly, congratulations. Yeah, it was a great race from you. It was great that you ended up winning, like you said, a couple cautions at the end. Sometimes the best driver ends up not winning, but you were able to hold on. Walk us through middle of the race. There was at one point you had a 2.5 second lead, and Brian McCann got it down to about a 1.5 seconds. Were you just kind of saving your equipment, or did the track change? We noticed some of the weather. We talked about it during the broadcast. Sun went away, clouds came out. Did that affect the car at all?
Yeah, I think the track was changing throughout the race. I think it was definitely getting a little tighter. That was my experience. And also, I was trying to save tires, but I was definitely watching them in my mirror. They were getting a little closer than I would have liked, and I was trying to save, but I was still trying to push at the same time, and they were quick tonight, so shout out to all those guys.
I mean, they certainly were quick around you, but you were the quickest. Ryan, coming into tonight, you were around that bubble spot of trying to be on the cusp of taking the points lead after this win. You now are officially the points leader with a 10-point lead over Brian P. Johnson heading into our last race at Atlanta next week. How much has points been a factor that you've been thinking about being so close to being that regular season champion and knowing that there's bonus points going into the playoffs?
Yeah, it's definitely in the back of my mind. I know next week being a super speedway type race, you can't really count on the points you think you're going to earn. So was definitely focusing on points tonight, and couldn't have asked for a better night again.
Well, Ryan, incredible run for yourself in this 3 machine. Before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, first up, my teammates tonight. Couldn't have won the race without them. I know Larry was holding some of those guys off for me there. And you guys for putting on the show. Always great to go back and watch it. And all the sponsors of the league, really appreciate them for letting us race. And looking forward to next week.
Well, that will be the 3 machine of Ryan Kelly. Ryan, congratulations on this victory, and good luck next week at Atlanta.
All right. Thanks, gentlemen.
Well, as we go from victory lane, we head down to second place, where almost this week we got to say congratulations to this driver winning in 2 different leagues. Instead, it'll be a first place on Monday, second on Wednesday. Nick, it's Sam, and Justin up in the booth. Congratulations on a second place finish. The strategy worked out, you could say, at the end of the day. How are you feeling coming away with the second place finish here tonight?
I'm just feeling good that I get to say hi to Sam twice in the booth in 1 week. But hi guys, don't know how I got here. It was a Hail Mary strategy. Me and Larry were just staying out, and I led a lap, and then he led a lap, and I'm just hoping, and then somehow a caution came out. I don't even know what happened, what caused the caution, but they were hard to get them tonight. If you spun anywhere below that yellow line on the apron, it wasn't going to cause a caution, so I'd have to go back and look.
Nick, it's Justin up here in the booth. Congrats on the second place finish. I'm going to tell you about that caution. It was the Racing Gods making it up, because early in the race tonight, lap 2-3, I think you got kind of caught up in a little bit of an incident on the front straightaway, and you lost a lot of track position, which hurt your race early in the run. You didn't get the caution, and then the Racing Gods were like, we're going to give him one back later on in the run so he can get his spots back. Tell us about that lap 2 or 3 incident.
Yeah, it's with this track, it's kind of a 1 lane early in the run. So on that initial start early in the race, there was a big checkup, and I just jabbed the brakes, and it upset the car in the corner, and then it just got really loose because there's like a bump down there that just makes you spin out. So after I hit that, and I think I took Noel with me, so sorry to him. But yeah, I guess that's karma, or the Racing Gods, whoever.
They certainly did gift you there, Nick. You're pretty solidified inside of our top 16 going into next week. What are you hoping to take from next week, or is there really not much? You're just thinking about the playoffs going into playoffs in 2 weeks.
I think next week's going to be a big team race. I believe it's Atlanta Super Speedway. Johnny right now is not having a good stretch of races, so we got to probably get him the win to get him in. So him, and then I think Norris is kind of close to the cutoffs, but he should be good. Ben's got 2 to win. So it's really going to be a team race next week. And it's a super speedway, but I've heard that these cars are really fun on that track. So kind of looking forward to it, kind of not. This league is really good with super speedways until the very end. That's when they all wreck. But we'll see. I don't know.
Well, we can't wait to see how next week comes out, and if the racing quality is as great as we're expecting. But Nick, for yourself, before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
I just want to shout out to the admins. They do a great job with this league, putting it together, bringing it back. I don't think they all had a very fun race there towards the end. But shout out to them. Shout out to my teammates. I know it's hard when these races go bad for you, but they come back every week and they stick it out. Shout out to my beautiful wife. She was watching today. I love her so much in school, so hopefully that's going well for her. And then, of course, again, a reminder from Monday, February 29th is Rare Disease Day, so show your tribes, spread awareness. But thank you to you guys.
Well, that will be your second place finisher of Nick Crawford. Congratulations on second, Nick, and good luck next week at Atlanta.
Thank you.
Well, from second place, we go down to third. A driver that, with this finish, now puts him closer into a win, and he's in a spot for the playoffs. We have Danny Cochran with us. Danny, congratulations with getting a third place finish here tonight. It's Sam and Justin up in the booth. How are you feeling after that performance you just had tonight, being our biggest mover of the race?
Hey, I didn't know I was the biggest mover. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it was a fun night, man. I came into it literally like 5 minutes before the session closed. I got a whopping 2 laps in during our practice, and then in my qualifying laps for my first fast laps of the night. So it was a big learning curve as the race went on. It was a lot of fun driving through the field. I definitely don't feel like I deserved a top 3 tonight, but hey, we'll take them as we can get them. It was a lot of fun though, man. I had a blast driving through the field and racing some of my buddies there.
Danny, Justin up here in the booth, want to tell you, you definitely deserved it, because there was points in the broadcast where we were watching you and we were talking about how smooth you were out there and just looking like you were having a nice solid finish in the middle portion of the race. You were running up in the 5th, 6th, 7th positions around there. You just looked really nice and comfortable out there with not a lot of practice. So tell me, are you going to put a lot of practice in next week for Atlanta and maybe get that victory?
It would be pretty cool. I mean, truth be told, I haven't had the time or the energy that I really would like to have to put into this league, and would have me closer to where I need to be to fit more comfortably going into the playoffs, just on account of work and everything like that. But I don't know, man. I'm just going to go out there and have fun. That's what I'm here for. These guys put on a great show every week. I love racing around them. Certainly exciting. I'm watching the octagon blow up as we speak, so that's always a fun part to watch too. And hey, I ain't a part of it this week. So yeah, I'm just gonna go out there, Atlanta. Hey, we'll try and win. You know, I don't come to finish 15th on purpose anyway, but we'll see what happens. Gonna try and help my buddy Ollie out, see what we can do for him. I know he's right on that bubble, which is looking very, very, very tight at the moment. That'll be some fun headlines going into next week, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, here tonight, after this race, Ollie now moves up to tied with 14th, but it's not, like you said, a comfortable place to be. Danny, congratulations on a third place finish here tonight. We know you're going to run well at a super speedway styled course. You always do. But before we let you go, the floor is now yours.
Well, first and foremost, got to shout out Larry Arts Productions, put his name on the race tonight. I believe this is his home track in Nashville. So really cool. Me and Ollie both sponsored drivers of his, so we got to put the cars, our LAP cars, up in the top 5 for a little bit. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, got to shout out him first and foremost. The admins who put on the league, they do a fantastic job. You guys killing it up in the booth as always. And go check out Hot Lap Threads, hotlapthreads.com. Got a bunch of cool racing merch on there if you're into that. And that'll pretty well do it. Thanks, guys.
Well, that will be the 2 machine of Danny Cochran. Congratulations, Danny, on a top 3 finish. Enjoy it, and good luck next week at Atlanta. As we move from our top 3, we now go down to Ollie Fonseca to being our second highest mover of the race, and also in a very intense spot after tonight, and already was even coming into tonight. Ollie, it's Sam and Justin up in the booth. Congratulations on getting a top 10 finish here tonight, finishing 6th. How are you feeling after the roller coaster events that went down there late in tonight's race?
Yeah, for sure. It's just kind of nice to have a solid run in WSSR. For some reason, the top 10s in this league. I've had the speed a couple times. I've led a few laps here and there, but I just really haven't been consistent with my finishes in this season. So, it's nice to finally have some race go my way right before the cut race. So that's something to be happy about.
Ollie, we are happy that you were able to get that finish that you do deserve. We see you every week. You like you mentioned, you do have the speed. You had it last 2 weeks ago at Auto Club and just got up there at the end. But tonight, able to get to the nice finish. Next week, Atlanta Super Speedway. What are you putting in your strategy mind for going into next week? You're 14th in the points, so what are you thinking?
Man, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's gonna be crazy, that's for sure. My plan for that place is to just bring it home with all the fenders on it. That's pretty much the safest way to guarantee that I'll be able to move on to the next round. And I really don't know truthfully if that involves qualifying and staying up front, or if I need to ride around the back and avoid the wrecks. Normally for Daytona and Talladega, I'd be able to give you more of a straight up answer, but these cars at a place like the new Atlanta configuration, that's going to be something completely different for everyone. So we'll just have to see what the racing's like and how it might play out.
It certainly is looking like a racetrack and car combo that's just asking for trouble. But Ollie, like you said, you just staying out of trouble was the big thing. How do you feel like you're going to be able to do? How are you able to do that here tonight? Because it seemed like there were moments where everyone was caught up in going 2 wide, 3 wide. Were you expecting this type of racing with this car and track combo before you even entered tonight?
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling of what to expect in terms of how it was going to handle. I've driven here with the trucks a couple times now, and to be honest with you, I can't stand this place. I am not a fan of this racetrack by any means. But for whatever reason, I'm usually able to run pretty consistent there. I know in the trucks I'm able to get an easy top 10, top 15. But these cars, I will say, enjoyed a little bit more with these cars just because the extra horsepower. You can do a little bit more with the steering wheel and the throttle and just all your basic inputs. There's just more opportunity to lose or gain time, so that was a lot more enjoyable to play with rather than just sitting in the wake of someone and not being able to get around them no matter what you do. But yeah, for sure, the tires was the biggest thing for me. In the first run, I thought I did a solid job, just kind of not pushing the issue, passing guys when the opportunity was easy. The second stage, I didn't do such a good job of that. I kind of used up my stuff a little too early there. Hit a little bit earlier than some of the other guys, and the timing of that caution that came out late was pretty good for me, actually. I was getting ready to get swamped by a couple of guys who had waited a few more laps than me. But yeah, just avoided that wreck, moved up into third, and I kind of wish we hadn't got that last yellow because it looked like me and Nick were going to get a huge run on Ryan there coming off of 2. We were just getting ready to size him up, and then didn't get the opportunity. Next restart, spun the tires pretty bad. Just did what I could to keep it underneath me and drove home. Got a nice, easy top 10, so we'll take it.
Certainly was a great finish for yourself. The points, they look terrifying on where you're at, but like I said, just survive tomorrow is going to be the key. Congratulations, Ollie, on this finish that you just had, and I know that it's going to be a good one heading into next week. Well, Ollie, any shout-outs that you have before we call it a night for yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Just gotta thank all my friends, family, coworkers, anyone that's watching. I appreciate it. You guys watch me run these every Monday and now Wednesday nights on occasion. I appreciate it. Just me trying to refine my skills, any way I can. This league is different, but in a good way. It just teaches you a lot more about your basic inputs when you have more opportunity to do stuff with the car. So a lot of that I like to carry over the trucks, and I think it's really helped. So I appreciate the people that support me doing that and watch me. Got to thank Larry, for sponsoring this race, sponsoring me and Danny this season. I couldn't ask for a better guy to have on the side of my car or truck any day of the week. Got to thank my teammate Danny. He really helped me out tonight. He was in my ear the whole time, just helping me not overdrive the car, just feel out where I'm at and just try to get a good finish. So thanks to him. And of course you guys for broadcasting this league and the league for putting it on. I appreciate it.
Oh, we appreciate the show that you just gave us here tonight. Congratulations once again on a top 10 finish. Enjoy it and good luck surviving next week.
Thank you, sir. Well,
from our racing interviews, these drivers certainly did give us a great show to watch from top to bottom. Better racing than I think many of us could have predicted that we were going to see, but ultimately it goes to the fastest driver. The driver that got the pole and was the fastest during most of the race, Ryan Kelly, gets it done. As we take a look at the unofficial results for tonight's race, Ryan Kelly takes the win. Nick Crawford will come away with second. Danny Cochran in third. Again, Danny's going to be in that must-win scenario heading into next week. John Forbes in fourth. Ken Campbell placing himself in a position where he could potentially point his way through. Ollie Fonseca as well, trying to point his way into the playoffs next week. Bryson Hicksonbaugh, it looks almost out of reach, but somehow, points-wise, it's still there if he has a perfect race. Chris Stitz in 8th. 9th will be Brian P. Johnson, and Douglas Newbiggie finished out the top 10. But Justin, we look at the rest of the leaderboard and where drivers slotted. It honestly was kind of a mosh podge of where they survived off the chaos off the exit of turn 4.
It is kind of ironic when you see some of these names. I'm thinking, I thought at one point we were saying that they were having trouble and they were back in like the 23rd, 24th spot, and here they are finishing in the top 15. Definitely interesting. But James Heater, you got to give him a shout out, finishing 14th. I believe he was one of our drivers qualifying in the back, so that was a nice pickup for him. Christopher Norris, 17th. I know 18th there. Isaiah Sutherland close on points. Larry Yingling, up and down night, 2nd, back to 19th at one point. All over the place. Cody Reed was leading the race earlier. We saw him have some trouble getting on pit road, ended up 20th. But Benjamin Nelson, 25th. Not what we were expecting out of him with the trouble he had. Brian McCann, 22nd. Kyle Heath, he was upside down, able to come back to 21st position, though. And then Ben Kinney, 29th. First car out of the race.
Yeah, I mean, it looks to be it's going to be tough from here on out on who's going to be in or out from the playoffs, as next week will be the last race of the regular season, and it should be a good one. Talking about what next week's going to look like, well, we still have racing this week. Tomorrow night's going to be the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, but this is what our usual week looks like. We have Monday nights with ISRC Truck Series, as they're now into the beginning of the season, as they've got race number 3 about to be underway on Monday. Tuesdays, if you would like to have us broadcast your league on Tuesday nights, hit us up on our social medias on Facebook and on Twitter. On Wednesday nights, you know where we're at, right here, WSSR Cup Series racing action with the playoffs right around the corner. And then Thursday nights, it's the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Don't want to miss out on their incredible racing. Next-gen cars, open setups, and it should be a good one tomorrow night, as they're going to be taking next-gen cars to Iowa. Should be a fun one to watch. And Justin, for tonight, certainly a wild one overall. The unpredictability, but it was ultimately Ryan Kelly that found himself up front. What are some of your final thoughts for tonight's race?
Final thoughts are, it's going to be wild next week, because it was wild tonight and we weren't expecting it. We talked about it before the broadcast. We thought maybe it would get a little strung out and the field would get spread out. There wouldn't be too much racing, but wow. It looked like we were at Atlanta Superspeedway, and that's where we're going to be next week, and it's going to be a great show. I can't wait to see these cars just be on that track. Will they have to lift getting in the corner? Will the restrictor plates be slowing them down enough? It's going to be really exciting to watch.
Yeah, who's going to survive where? I think I'm excited to see where this Superspeedway Atlanta car combo of the Gen Force is going to bring out some of the best in racing of Superspeedway. Or is it going to be a nightmare for others? I know points are going to be on the line. Drivers know they need to maximize or be in position to win to make the playoffs. And for Ryan Kelly, it's survive, and you'll find yourself with a regular season championship, those extra bonus points heading into the playoffs. But I want to say thank you to everyone that joined with us in the chat. I also want to say thank you to Justin Malarkey and Robert Moyer Jr. and myself, Sam Dyer, and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting for joining with us. It was a fun night of racing. Ryan Kelly, he now joins the ranks of Brian P. Johnson and Benjamin Nelson with his second win of the season. Going to be 3 drivers that we know to watch out for when the playoffs begin. But for tonight, thank you for joining with us. Great racing action next week. Should be a blast at Atlanta. But if you can't wait until next week, we will see you tomorrow night for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Going to be a fun one. Iowa is the destination. Short track racing. Can't wait for it. And that will be our next Freaky Fast broadcast.